Would you believe me if I told you an old story? One where the beginning is more than 100 years old? One that's featured every big name to exist in auto racing? Would you believe me if I said nothing grows old here? Where thousands and thousands come to be awed and inspired by speed? One where dreams are born, then just as quickly destroyed? Would you believe me if I said it was more than just a race? One that requires so much sacrifice for just a chance at glory? One where their faces are etched into history to never be forgotten? Would you believe me if I said this version of the story was different? A version where the cars are virtual, but the racing and competition are real. A story that brings grown men and women to tears, then just a page later to a smile from ear to ear. A story so fast it's tough to keep up with. One with danger and thrill around each and every corner. A story about heartbreak. And a story about perseverance. It's a story about redemption. And a story about triumph.
Well, this is the closest thing, boys, to living a dream. Gentlemen, start your engines.
This is the story of the Wicked Energy Gum Fake 500.
The next chapter of the story takes us dirt racing, as now it's the night before it all. It is the Epperson Painting Night Before the Fake 500, and we welcome you to the virtual Kokomo Speedway for tonight's action for what's expected to be an intense dirt midget race. Justin Prince alongside Barry Rowley for what's expected to be a competitive one tonight. Drivers from across the iRacing platform have made their way to this virtual racetrack tonight in what is one of the most stacked events of 2021 so far. More than 15 pro drivers, former or current, all set to take part in tonight's action, Billy, as well as many drivers with real-world experience. This is going to be competitive.
Yeah, this is one I'm really looking forward to. Dirt Midgets is one of my favorite cars on the sim. And at Kokomo, they just race extremely well. You see right now just finishing up some practice before we get into single car qualifying tonight. So something a little bit different, but this track wears in. The bottom's really, really good early. The top will start to come in. We're going to see guys moving around. Tough format tonight as well, so it's going to be an exciting one.
Let's talk about how things will work for tonight's format as drivers, as you mentioned, will be qualified. 2 total laps available for competitors tonight. Then it will be for heats, up to 6 total or available, 10 laps apiece. Then the rest of the drivers who have to work their way through the alphabet would then in turn have to go through an ED scene and up to B main for tonight. 2 drivers from each heat expected to advance. 50 laps for tonight's feature race. It's not going to be easy to get through tonight's field, especially with how stacked it is, Billy.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting format for sure. We wanted to make this something a little bit different than what you normally see, where it's just 4 or 5 heat races, take the top 4. Wanted to make it a little bit tougher on these guys, only taking 2 out of the heat races, 2 out of the heat races, and then 2 out of each qualifier, as we're going to call them, the B mains or the consies, the hooligan race, whichever you prefer. So it's going to be a wild one. The qualifying draw has been set, so it's going to be a race for quick time to get yourself starting up front, because these heat races are going to be pretty deep.
Let's talk about some of the drivers taking part in tonight's action throughout this event, because we mentioned plenty of pro drivers taking part in this field, including both the championship favorites from the iRacing World of Outlaws Nossen Drink Sprint Cars World Championship, Alex Bergeron and Hayden Cardwell. Many of their competitors, like Adam Elby, like Cole Newhoff, like Colton Davis. And even to the announcers, Chase Rodman is among the drivers in the field tonight, Billy. And don't forget, we have real-world drivers, as mentioned, too, in this group, including a one-time USAC Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, we've got a pretty stacked field right now. Like you said, a lot of pros. A guy that stands out to me, Isaac Soares. If you guys have run a lot of midgets on the iRacing service, more than likely you've seen his name up front of the leaderboards in the official series. Joel Berkeley, former pro. Mason Hannigan just came off of a pretty good Tulsa shootout, starting his racing career. Jeffrey Stanton runs a lot of the pavement sprint cars. Actually ran third in this race last year when it was on the pavement at IRP. So a lot of versatility, a lot of fast guys. Brennan Rogers, a West Coast midget standout. Again, very, very quick on the iRacing server. Former USAC pro, and actually former USAC Pro Series feature winner. Is here with us tonight as well. So this is going to be a pretty insane field. I think this is probably one of the most stacked midget events that we've seen where everybody's running on the same night outside of the Chili Bowl.
100%, and keep in mind, drivers will be competing for an $800 prize pool tonight. That's up from $360 for the inaugural event for the night before the 500. $125 to the winner, second place $100, third place $75, then goes on down to $60 for fourth, $50 for fifth, and then $5 increments down to the end of the top 10 to $23 for top 15 and $20 for the feature. A massive prize pool for tonight, Billy.
Yeah, I think we really wanted to emphasize the fact that these guys can race for some, a pretty decent money all throughout the field. So the great thing is if you make the show, you're going to get your money back. So I think these guys are going to be racing extremely hard in the heats. The qualifiers are going to be pretty intense as well. So got a good night of racing going with us, and these guys are going to be shooting for some money.
Still 5 minutes before qualifying. Expect to start for these competitors. Drivers currently in the midst of preparing for tonight's action. How do you try to approach this race if you're any of the competitors here, especially since it's, as mentioned, very stacked?
We preach in over in Indianapolis the patience term. Here, with the way that this format is and this stacked field, you're going to have to go. You're not going to have any time to sit around and wait for your shot. You're really going to have to go put in a wild set of laps to try to get yourself locked into the show. As it looks like some cars are getting ready to come off the racing surface for maybe a little driver's meeting. But this format's going to produce aggressive racing. You're going to see a lot of guys trying to make that bottom work. You might see a few get up to the top early and just try to keep that momentum going. So we're going to see a lot of different lines here. But the aggression factor, it's definitely there. Only taking 2 out of the heats, something really that a lot of guys don't see very often. So you're going to have to, if you can't get started on the front row in your heat race, you're going to really have to do some work because you got a long way to go.
You mentioned some of the names you were keeping an eye on, some of those big names. In your opinion, who are some of the big-time favorites for this type of event, regardless of the skill level?
You really look at, I think Brennan Rogers is a very tough, going to be real tough. It's hard to look past the 2 championship contenders in the World of Outlaw Series, Hayden Cardwell and Alex Bergeron. They've been going back and forth all season long in that deal. And Hayden is extremely good in a midget, so I think we're going to see those 2 up close to the top of the board if they can, as well. Luck is going to play a big factor of this. If you get into a wreck early in your heat race, you might be in some trouble. But James Tiernan, again, he's very quick in the midgets, loves these cars, loves low downforce cars, so this is right up his alley. Logan Rumsey, another pro that I think is really solid in a midget. So Those are my top 5 guys that I think can do some pretty good work tonight. But then again, as I say that, James Edens, Adam Elby, Tyler Ducharme, we don't really see him run a lot of midgets, but he's very fast on the surface and pretty much everything that he runs. So wouldn't shock me to see those guys up front either.
By the way, you're seeing the practice times at the top of your screen. To recap your top 10 in this practice with just approaching 2 minutes to go. Drivers meeting in the midst of underway. Gregory Lamy set the fastest time with a 12 flat, the only driver in that bracket. Then Isaac Soares, Alex Bergeron, Shea Powell, then Hayden Cardwell, Logan Rumsey, Joel Berkeley, Rico Robles, with Brent Brigo, Zach Jades rounding out your top 10. Kendall Tucker just outside that grouping. Driver separation tonight amongst your competitors based on, again, track conditions as well as time, sees the separation from the top of the board to the bottom of the board just 4/10. That's how stacked this field could be. And it's going to be interesting how the track changes as the night goes on. Some have tried the cushion. Some have really been working in that bottom. You can see the amount of slick from the practice.
Yeah, and I think as this track changes through qualifying, it's an element that we don't see on iRacing all that much. If you're new to the service, when you go out to qualify for an official race or a hosted race, the track's not changing. Everybody's on the exact same track the entire time for qualifying. So this track's going to start drying out. It's going to start wearing in. It's going to start changing through this qualifying session. So if you did get a bad draw into the qualifying order, you might put yourself in the 3rd or 4th row of a heat race, even if you are a Hayden Cardwell that's extremely fast. So it's going to be qualifying. I think is going to be extremely crucial. But some of these guys can race better than they can qualify. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to all this as well.
Track reset has been confirmed for our competitors for the start of qualifying. By the way, 5% per race control up rear tonight. Zane Scott for tonight. A couple of the drivers want to see anywhere from 4.5 to 7. But either way, that means there's going to be a little bit of usage for tonight's action, Billy. Not completely fresh for the start of qualifying, so it's not entirely a clean racetrack.
Yeah, and I think that's about the sweet spot. I know with the World of Outlaw Pro Series, they've been kind of experimenting with doing this sort of thing of a track reset for qualifying. When I ran the Pro Series, it was what the track you got, what track you had, that was what you got. So with this case, we're going to see that track reset. So I think from the standpoint of speeds here, we may not see that 10th difference between 1st and 60th, but we very well could see within a 10th of the top 15. So this qualifying session, very, very important as we get going into qualifying.
The first 2 drivers have been confirmed to be on racetrack. Tyler Ducharme and Alex Bergeron will be the first drivers who will be up for the running order. Drivers, I've been told, they have 15 seconds to get in line. And keep in mind, with the amount of cars here, you'll notice as the session progresses that there are several different practice groups per how iRacing functions. So there will be drivers that will be lining up overall in preparation in 6 different groupings of practice sessions from these drivers. It'll be Ducharme, then Bergeron. The top 2 drivers will get race control confirmed. Tyler Ducharme off and away. He starts us off for qualifying. And Ducharme trying to work his way around the cushion. Cole Newhoffen on deck after Bergeron for the start of tonight's action. As Ducharme trying to find some speed for these 2 laps. Many on the fresh track have been using the bottom of the racetrack. The slick SimSport machine has been picking up some momentum of recent times. His first lap is a 12.337 to start things off. His second lap time sees him pull off the racetrack, happy with his start. That opens up the track now for Alex Bergeron, Billy. And of course, very successful 2020, 2021 so far for him in the iRacing World of Outlaws, where he's won 3 of the past 4.
Yeah, really, really dominant, hitting his stride right at the right time. Good line through 3 and 4, so Alex Bergeron puts down a pretty solid lap, a 10th quicker than Tyler Ducharme. So really good lap time there for Alex Bergeron here as he's finishing up lap number 2.
It's the second lap sees him nearly knocked down the fence at 12.5. That is not going to bump up his time, so that brings up the next one, Cole Newhoffen. What's going to be a lightning quick session. Maverick Simulations is his sponsor for tonight's action. He's shown some great pace of right. Some bad luck in the past couple races, though. The Waverly, Nebraska-based driver with a 12.357. That's the slowest out of the top 3 so far. So not able to try and bump up quite yet the second time. Not quicker either at that point. Then, here's a driver we haven't seen too much of throughout the past couple years or so. It's Saban by Bent, who is going to be next up on the track. He tries to set up a time, wheels it through the corner and can't get to the wall, but it's a quick one at 12.227.
Yeah, Saban is a Lawrenceburg Speedway Rookie of the Year in the 410 sprint cars, so got a lot of real life experience, and he puts down a heck of a lap there.
And a great start for him in qualifying. 4 drivers quickly have put in their times. 5th one is now on the circuit. It's Jeffrey Stewart. The Council tries to show what he can do. One of the elbows up SimSport machines. Trying to get a 12.2. White flag gets a 12.7. Not the best of starts for him for qualifying. Needs to pick up 4/10 compared to the rest of the grouping. That actually matches his practice time. The second time does bump it up, though, a 12.577. That opens up the track for the next competitor, and Brent Perigo in the number 2A machine. Brent coming to the white flag in a quick session with a 12.463. That bumps him up to second last so far, but brings up the next competitor to keep an eye on, Tyler Kendall. We talked about it a little bit for the Fake 500 practice sessions. He's one of the drivers with IndyCar, with dirt experience, rather, who is now taking his laps. Number 7 machine, trying to work his way around for the first time around. Tyler Kendall coming off what has been an interesting past few days. A 12.546 is his best time so far, Billy.
Yeah, Tyler's got a lot of real-world experience. Pretty good shoe in a sprint car on the state of Indiana. Actually has some laps around Kokomo in real life, so transitions over fairly decent with a decent lap there.
Dustin Griffiths now to the racetrack next. One of the elbows up SimSport cars from Bloomington, Indiana. Coming off what's been an up-and-down week after what included an up-and-down race with the Crescent Donut Patriot 100. 12.717 his first time around. Looks like he's aiming for the second lap, similar to what Jeffrey did, as he's really slowing down the rotation in the middle of the corners. This time around, it's a 12.455, though. That bumps him up to 6th provisionally. And that brings up someone you talked about just moments ago, the Little Hurricane, Mason Hannigan. Billy?
Yeah, he had a good run at the Tulsa Shootout. Ran 4 different classes, got a lot of seat time out there. He's had a very good pro season so far as well. I think so. One of the better youngsters on the sim, and good to see him with us tonight.
He'll wave off after hitting the tires at the end of his second lap as Gregory Lamy, quickest driver from practice, is up and he spins it out to start off. He's been someone that's improving as of late in the iRacing World of Outlaws Nossener Drink Sprint Cars World Championship. Has been making more and more feature races, but needs to try and gain a full second. And now wheels it. After what was a great practice session for him, it's turned into a disastrous qualifying run for Gregory. Checker flag. It's a 12.414, still a decent time to 6th, but that could have been much better, Billy.
Yeah, definitely not what he was looking for. I think he just got a little bit throttle happy. These midgets, the front ends are extremely light, and especially with the transition down at the bottom of the racetrack. It almost kind of, you've got a little bit of reverse banking, so if you're in the throttle a little bit too much, it'll pull the wheels up.
Hank Silver, one of the drivers working with Tyler Bachman throughout this entire week at 12.541. That's 10th quickest so far. Hank Silver, we talked about experience with Dirt Vision. That opens up the next driver on the racetrack, Brian Antonio. Curious how Brian Antonio does here in the 46. Someone seen a lot more so on the oval side here and there before the past couple of years as he does a wheelie from 7th. Brian Antonio, second time around, comes across the Yacht Club Lounge Machine. Comes across in fifth, a 12.369 so far. Next driver up on the racetrack is Kendall Tucker, who's been having a stellar 2021 so far, and a great end to 2020.
Yeah, I think he was definitely one of the favorites going into the World Championship season, and just didn't have has got a couple bad races, which has really just kind of put him down in the points a little bit farther, as he got real low through 3 and 4.
Trying to really try and push for that pole. Can't get it, though. A 12.266. Hit the tires on his second lap. Smashes the wall on the cool-down lap. Next driver on track is Tyler Schell, who is looking to try and recover after having a chance to come away with the win at Cedar Lake in the last round of the iRacing World of Outlaws Notch and Drink Sprint Cars World Championship before he crashed against the outside wall and crashed into the pit lane. Tyler Schell, currently among your top drivers, can't bump up a time. He is tied for the pole with Alex Bergeron. Has the tiebreaker, but the 10,000th.
Yeah, that's
what a time for him.
That's a heck of a lap for Tyler, somebody that doesn't run a lot of dirt midgets. So track might actually be coming in a little bit better on the bottom now. It might have been a little bit of a hindrance to go that early.
Possibly. Logan Rumsey now picking up some pace in Swindell Speed Lab machine. And he takes the tires hard. And the Ranko Motorsports sponsored car crashes at the bottom of the racetrack as that brings up Skylar Brown, who continues to follow the banana theme throughout the entire past couple weeks.
Yeah, Skylar likes to have fun with it, and got himself the flying banana on the side of that car. So hopefully Skylar can have a good night tonight. I know he wasn't thrilled with his qualifying performance in the fake, but he got the job done.
He's not going to be happy about that one as he crashes down the back straightaway on the second lap. That is, however, currently 5th best before the crash. Ryan Broderick now into the racetrack next. The Brodericks, both of them will be taking part in the Fake 500 tomorrow night, sponsored by Wicked Energy Gum. See how Broderick does. For RBR Motorsports from Wayne, Pennsylvania, first lap around, a 12.782. That's the slowest time as he nearly spins it around in the second lap. His personal best was a 13 flat in practice. This time around, it's a 13.126. Not the best of lap times, as Connor Lane is now into the racetrack.
Yeah, and we're already 17 cars in, and we're seeing some pretty close times here interval-wise. Under a 10th or under a 100th of a second, so very close qualifying session.
Almost per tradition, almost, of the iRacing World of Outlaws, with how tight things have been up to a couple tenths from the top to the bottom of the board. About a 12.295. Connor Lane up to 5th. Some good speed from the more Oklahoma-based driver. That brings up our next driver, Paul Belfour. One of the Fast Four machines. Looking to show what he can do. Learn about the event through some of the broadcasts, in fact. A 12.775 to start things off in practice. Check that 12.774. Second time around for Paul Belfour, trying to wheel his way around. The PBR machine, 12.8 on the second time around, not able to bump up from 18th on the board so far. That brings up John Steed.
Yeah, John, another Indiana driver that runs himself a midget in real life, so he's got a lot of experience around Kokomo and a midget, a little bit different than it is in real life, but he's got a lot of Indiana experience.
First lap is a 12.958. That's the slowest time so far out of 20 qualifiers. Second time around, though, working his way to the middle of the racetrack, a 12.791. That does not put him past the lap on the pylon. For the time being, that shuffles us over to the third grouping, led by Chris Springer to start things off. Someone with a lot of experience in the open wheels. Curious to see how he does in the dirt midget.
Yeah, I haven't really seen Chris running a lot of dirt midgets before, but he's getting around here pretty good. He's got a good starting spot for tomorrow's Fake 500, so glad to see him bringing the midget out on the dirt.
First lap put him in 15th. Second lap is a 12.603. Doesn't bump up his time, so middle of the pack so far. That brings up one of the drivers with Swindell Speed Lab backing who we usually don't talk too much about in series, Michael Klein, onto the racetrack, where Michael Klein Racing has the Swindell Speed Lab logos on that race car.
Yeah, Michael's had a tough couple years in the real world racing with some rides falling through and just having some bad luck, but gonna be looking for a better 2021.
This time a 13.675. He is now the slowest time on the board. His best qualifying time was a 13.4. Shea Powell is now onto the racetrack, representing his Twitch stream on the side of the race car today. And clips a little bit of the bottom of the berm of the racetrack with a 12.416 to start off. 13th best for Shea Powell. Second time around, nearly wheels it off as he goes straight up nearly towards the exit of the racetrack. A 12.350 gets him up to the top 10 so far. Next up on the board is now Brad Faria from Woodbridge, California.
Yeah, and Brad's been a big supporter of the Fake 500 with SimStyles painting service that he's got for, does helmets, driving suits, midgets, all sorts of stuff. So big thanks to him as he's getting his first laps in.
And his second lap is not an improvement to his first. A 12.570 is his best time in qualifying. Miles Jensen now into the racetrack. Jensen was fairly quick in practice for today from Duluth, Minnesota. One of the drivers representing the ABR setup shop among the sponsors and Highside Media on the side of that race car tonight.
Yeah, Miles known for having a lot of different paint schemes, but this one looks pretty good.
The D2 Race Designs machine, 16th on the board with a 12.473. And here's one of your favorites, Isaac Soares, one of the quickest drivers in practice too, now to the racetrack.
Yeah, and that thing looks absolutely glued to the bottom. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, boy. That's a quick lap. Very quick lap. 12.048 goes to the top of the board.
To the nearest 10,000 to 4.7. This time by a 12.327, but that's a new quick time by almost 0.2 of a second. Wow. As Tyler Street is now into the racetrack, prior to tonight's action, felt like he was going to crash into the wall. That's how his confidence fared out. It's a 12.637 to start, though. That comes from 23rd to start qualifying for him.
Yeah, not a bad run. Doesn't run a ton of midgets, but get some of the race jitters out for tomorrow, hopefully.
Sofa King Fast Machine up to 16th on his second lap with a 12.456. Zach James now onto the racetrack. One of the Team SSR machines. The school sim racing car nearly wheeled it across the track. A 12.292, though, gets him inside the top 10. The Brooklyn, Arkansas driver with the stellar run so far wheels it off again off the back tires off of turn 4. That loses him some more time. 12.605, rather, 6 best so far as Grindy is now into the racetrack.
Yeah, Aiden is one that I haven't seen too much of, but it looks like he's got a pretty decent pace. 12.53 on his first lap. So not a bad first lap. Wheelies up down the back straightaway and see if he can set it down for turn 3.
He nearly sets it down on top of one of the tires. 22nd best the first time around. Second time around, not able to bump it up. So deep in the qualifying running order as that brings up Michael Berthay onto the racetrack from Indianapolis.
Yeah, and Michael's actually one I started my racing career with. He was one of the drivers I looked up to in the micro sprints back in the late 90s. So a lot of real track experience. Ran some sprint cars around Indiana with USAC and the local scene for quite a while in the early 2000s. So it's cool to see Michael back on iRacing.
12.750 the second time around. His best time at 12.5. It's the SSR Elite driver in the middle of the pack so far. That brings up our next driver onto the board. This is from grouping number 4 rather now. Joel Berkeley onto the racetrack as he's brought out the memes tonight on his car.
Yeah, he's the slick guys have been putting Hayden on the side of their cars for the last few weeks, along with Heilman. So at least they got numbers on him tonight.
In our news, their fellow teammate Hayden Cardwell went with the serious look tonight, since he's in the midst of a championship battle for the iRacing World of Outlaws. He's bumping and banging around on the racetrack, though, at 12.437 on his first lap, around 17th quickest. Let's see if he can stabilize it on the second lap, though, as he hits the tire. Hayden Cardwell crashes as that ends off his qualifying run and brings up the next car, Dustin Hall.
Yeah, that's a pretty big mistake out of Hayden right there. That's definitely not what he's wanting. He's going to be starting pretty deep into the field right now. As it looks like we've had right around 32, and Dustin Hall goes for a spin cycle.
The Slick Sim Sport driver's really struggling here. That's the Columbia, Missouri-based driver. Also known for experience a bit on the oval side, really wheeling that car hard at the bottom of the racetrack. His recovery lap is a 13.5. That's 33rd quickest. As that brings up Thomas Brandon after that in the SSR car.
Yeah, Tommy does a lot of good work with the School of Sim Racing. Brings a lot of new people from the service and helps them get quicker. Just an all-around cool dude and a good guy to talk to, especially a setup guru with Motec, and he loves the midgets.
Checker flag for him. It's a 12.419. That gets him right behind Gregory Lane beyond the pylon, 17th quickest. That brings up Trace Olson next on circuit, the number 36 car in Sim. One of the LGR Motorsports machines. He was one of the drivers towards the mid-pack in practice, a 12.619 on his first lap. Already 35 cars into qualifying as Olson rounds off his run by qualifying 30th so far. Very competitive session so far as his teammate Coulter West is now on circuit. Coulter West, once again from LGR Motorsports, based out of the state of Wyoming. Looking to show what he can do. 16th quickest, and he shows he can crash into a tire. On the bright side, he's one of our top qualifiers in the middle of the pack. That second lap, for obvious reasons, does not count as that will bring up Colton Davis.
Yeah, another World of Outlaw pro. He had some bad luck at Cedar Lake. Qualified into a transfer spot in his heat race and had a little bit of contact on turn 1, and unfortunately wasn't able to finish his heat race and effectively ruined the night. But a lot of speed out of Colton Davis.
35th quickest on the first lap. Second time around, really turning the wheel hard to the right. Does not count. So Davis at the bottom of the board. Some rough runs for the Slick Sim Sport drivers in qualifying so far. As that brings up Rico Robles, who is one of the quicker drivers in practice as talked about. One of the Vanderpool racing machines. And Vanderpool, we talked about, has been a team on the rise. As he's second quickest so far.
What a lap for Rico. That's an absolute screamer of a lap, so great job to Rico.
A 12.079. The second time around is a near 13 flat. So all of a sudden, two cars are now into the flats as Gary Corley crashes and spins around. And that quickly ends off his qualifying run. That brings up Stephen Hill as a result as the next car into the racetrack. After that mistake, that brings us to grouping number 5. One of the team seating machines, or team setting machines.
Yeah, really quick qualifying session. We're already 2/3 of the way through, and so this is definitely a lot quicker than the pavement sprint cars last year. And this track is starting to wear in pretty nicely. We'll be seeing some good racing in the heat races.
Absolutely. The Jacksonville, Illinois-based driver, first time around, a 12.763. That is 33rd quickest on the board. And he wheels it around and nearly spins it around and does. And just out of the way in time for Kane Dellar, who nearly jumps up over top some of the tires, was wheel hopping a ton into the first corners.
Yeah, this place, when you get down on that reverse banking, it makes the car do some really loads up the right rear, and if you're not careful with the throttle, it'll pull the front wheels up and really slow you down.
First lap, 12.3. That got him to 13th. And United Sim Sports machine, 13th quickest on the board. That brings up Jeffrey Stanton in the number 94 machine onto the racetrack. Stanton from Salisbury, North Carolina, driving the JS Racing with Big Evil and Farlow machine. A 12.475, 26th quickest so far. And you can already tell that the bottom line really getting worked in a big time amount. 12.7 on his second lap. Now I'm going to bump it up. But that brings up Bruce Klingen from SSR now into the racetrack.
Yeah, this is, again, you know, the track's starting to slick off. It's starting to get not near as much grip around the bottom. So guys are really just having to search lines and try to make these straightaways as long as humanly possible to get the maximum speed.
A 12.318 to start and a 12.336 to end. 11th quickest for the number 44. So that brings up James Edens, one of the Swindle Speed Lab machines, and you talked a lot about him. He's trying the cushion this time.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get some momentum built up to go run around. That's exactly what I thought. Run around right around the marbles, try to keep the momentum up. The bottom lane's starting to slow down enough to where it's hard to get a lot of grip down there. So this should be a pretty decent lap for how long it's been. Yeah, 12.403, so or 404, excuse me. Not a bad lap at all for James Edens going out this late.
19th quickest, in fact, for him on the board. As that brings up Brennan Rogers, and he's driving the Thub Esports machine tonight. First lap, a 12.037. That is a new quick time for Brennan Rogers.
Yeah, not shocked at all. Brennan, one of the fastest guys in a midget on the sim. Proved that in the USAC Pro Series. Does a fantastic job. The tops up here, Bud Gang will be happy still that he set fast time around the bottom.
Rub it up, Thub. He's now thubbed his way to the top of the board. Peyton Greaves now onto the racetrack. He's trying the same line as James Edens did prior, using the cushion to build up momentum for the Hammerhead Sim Racing car. A lot of wheel hop that time, though, into the corner. 12.989 to start off with the 92. He was really working in that cushion throughout practice. This time, though, his time at 12.5, that's only good enough for 32nd. Clayton Davies now into the racetrack next.
Clayton being able to really keep it down on the bottom, low and slow, and that's a fantastic lap, 12.164. So
I think he might have smacked the wall, though. That might invalidate both his laps with where he hit it just past the start and finish line.
That's worst case scenario. We'll have to see if it triggers.
It doesn't for the second, but that's still a 13 flat. That's 43rd quickest. That could have been a very quick first lap if it didn't.
Yeah.
Trigger there.
Yeah, that's unlike in fake 500 qualifying with this. If you get into the fence at all or into the infield tires, you're in some trouble. But James Tiernan now out on the racetrack, and oh boy.
And James Tiernan saying he's wiping the lap and wipes up the cone for good measure too. So he's now done for qualifying. 14th quickest. As that brings up grouping number 6, Jake Erickson is leading practice. Grouping 6 has a spotter for tonight, and Blake Brennan, the Indiana regional driver, wheeling it nearly into the fence. 20th quickest in qualifying to start off this grouping of drivers. This is the last grouping of competitors. Next up, Gage Stevens. And Gage Stevens trying to build up momentum on the top line with the DBR Sim Sports cars. First lap, 45th quickest for Gage Stevens. Second lap, trying to work on the bottom. The Midwest region driver on the iRacing platform comes across with a 12.359. Decent time. That's 19 quickest. And that brings up the next driver on the board, Braden McMahon, who's coming off a very competitive day. McMahon was one of the favorites for the Patriot 100 last night.
Yeah, had some bad luck fighting for the lead. Led a few laps. Still showed a lot of speed. Just not what he was looking for. Hopefully has a little bit better run here in the midget.
Second lap, 12.7. His first lap gets him 42nd on the board. That brings up, it's Chase Rodman, who's trying to show what he can do on the dirt. He was one of the slowest cars in practice, but he's one of the quickest announcers in terms of the booth. The Steel Walker racing car. On his first lap, it's a 12.7. We'll see how the second lap does for Chase. Chase Rodman based out of Red Bluff, California originally. And the second lap for him is a 12.5, 41st quickest. He stops along the top of the racetrack as Mark Broderick is now into the racetrack. We talked about the Brodericks. the family members racing against one another tomorrow night.
Yeah, and they're going to have to do it again here, too. Broderick goes 12:60 on his first lap, so not what he was looking for. Hopefully he can pick it up a little bit here. Currently 42nd on the board.
Nearly skims the tires, wheels it up, and nearly flips it over as he visits victory lane instead of the line to end off his run. That brings up Adam Elby. He did not record a single time in practice. See how the Swindell Speed Lab machine does. He's been getting a lot of momentum in the past couple weeks. 12-5 to start for Elby.
Yeah, and he was one that was really excited about single car qualifying, but with the poor pill draw, I'm wondering if he was changing his mind on it.
Oh, and he nearly flips it over too. So that puts him in 36th best position. Drivers are currently at Lance Bomberg, Robert Smith, Dalton Bishop, who have all missed qualifying. We'll see how things play out here with race control, Billy.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be getting, if they just missed their qualifying spot or if they had some technical difficulties, but 53 cars taking time. So, you know, we're going to have a heck of a group of heat races, but Brennan Rogers just cranking an absolute burner lap later on in the session with a 12:03 and unbelievable.
Again, to reset your top 10 at the moment, Brennan Rogers with the quick time with a 12:037. Isaac Soares, then it's Rico Robles. They're the only drivers in the 12 flats. Everybody else, 12-2 on back. It is Tyler Schell, Alex Bergeron, Joe Berkeley, Kendall Tucker, Sabin Bybent, Jades among your top 10. And don't forget about Connor Lane. Separation among your 3rd to 10th place cars, only a couple 100s. Drivers who had yet to set a time are being given 3 minutes to bring their cars into the racetrack. They will have 1 lap to qualify, Billy. Just one for the drivers who missed this qualifier and will essentially have only that amount of time to make sure they're at the racetrack to be able to actually qualify and compete.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they, if they did have technical difficulties. Just in like the real life, technical difficulties happen, whether it's blowing up in hot laps and not being able to qualify. But before we completely scratch them from the rest of the program, give them a couple minutes here to make sure that nothing crazy happened and see if they can get back into the server. So Zame's got them on the timer and see what they can do. But but a couple shocks in qualifying, so far. James Eden's 23rd, Brian Antonio 20th. That one kind of shocks me as well. Shea Paulo not getting the lap that he wanted to get, I'm sure, as he's been practicing a lot in these midgets here lately. Hayden Cardwell down there in 27th, so he's going to have to come very deep through the field. So very competitive qualifying session. It's these heat races are definitely going to be wild. Top 2 transferring onto the A main, so it's going to be impressive.
1 minute on that timer, by the way. Dalton Bishop, the most realistic opportunity. We're hearing that drivers are currently still in the midst of loading things up for the race car to be able to get in for qualifying. And keep in mind, we mentioned it's very worked in, to say the very least, for these competitors. With this track, it's going to be entertaining to see how the heats go for tonight with how many cars are going to be racing and zipping around this track.
Yeah, and especially with the way that some of these guys had qualified, seeing a guy, Hayden Cardwell, with the way that this is going to work, he's going to be starting, and actually we do have Dalton Bishop on track here. Part of the Indy Racing Images stable, so he'll get his green flag lap.
One of the Indy Racing Images sponsored cars trying to show what they can do. This is the only lap that Dalton Bishop is going to get to have here in the 77. Checker flag, 12.569, 40th quickest for him. Drivers will be advancing in just a moment to tonight's heat action. Again, to reset. The drivers from the heats, 2 will advance per heat, and then there will be the LCQs. That will be taking place with up to 4 essential B mains to try and decide how things will fare out for our competitors. This is about to get very fun, to say the very least, Billy, to see how these races go.
yeah, you're going to see guys coming from fairly deep through the field, and they're going to have to. I think your front couple rows are going to be fighting for the bottom side of the racetrack. If you're starting third or fourth row, you're going to have to start searching. So we're going to be seeing guys up on the cushion, down on the bottom, maybe right even through the middle. Seeing some different lines around the Kokomo Speedway to try to get as much grip as they can. As you know, we kind of look through some of the track cams. It's getting slick down on the bottom, or it's starting to get slick. But the top side's worked in still as well. So as we're getting ready to go into heat racing action.
Let's take a look at how they'll line up for Heat Race 1 as the drivers now getting ready to roll their cars onto the grid. It's Brennan Rogers who will bring them to the green for Heat Race 1 tonight. The Epperson Painting Night Before the 500. Kendall Tucker starts in second with Logan Rumsey in third. Gage Stevens will start in fourth with Gregory Lamy in fifth. Miles Jansen starts in sixth with Grindy in seventh. Chase Rodman will start in eighth. Ryan Broderick and Gary Corley will round out the 10 cars. Keep in mind that number 40 did have that crash, remember, on his first lap of qualifying. He was the only driver to crash during their qualifying lap. So, a very stacked field for the first heat race, to say the very least. You have Brennan Rogers, who we talked about very quick, and you have several current pro drivers amongst the field as well.
Yeah, this one's going to be a very tough one. You got 4 pros within this: Kendall Tucker, Logan Rumsey, Gregory LeMay, excuse me, and then former pro Brennan Rogers. So you've got quite a few guys, running for the top 2 spots into the A main tonight. So, but again, even if you're coming from deep in the field, the goal is just get up front as quick as possible and far as possible, just to start yourself up front towards those qualifiers later on in the program. So, and don't sleep on Gage Stevens either. I think he's he could be sitting in the catbird seat here if something goes wrong with these top few drivers.
Want to go signal this time by as Kendall Tucker is starting to try and dance around in that cushion. iRacing safety truck is off. It'll be Tucker on the outside, field control of Brennan Rogers. Green flag waits up at the stand. Heat race 1 is underway. Already a bit of contact in the heart of the pack, but a good launch for the front of the field. Tucker works his way quickly to the cushion. The Thumb Esports car prefers the bottom side, though. Logan Rumsey follows suit. Here comes the slide back from Kendall Tucker in the battle for second. Rumsey takes away P2 to end off the first lap as near contact behind him.
Yeah, and Kendall Tucker's trying to get that top side worked in as Brennan Rogers just slow rolling the bottom, trying to run away and hide. But Greg LeMay really making some gains down on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's just trying to move himself up closer to the front for the qualifiers later on if he doesn't get into the top 2.
Rumsey wants the lead, though, at the same time. Keep in mind, if these drivers have no trouble, this would be for the pole and make contact. Tire to tire. Still more contact as Rumsey pushes up Rogers. Rogers slides to the middle. Rumsey 3-wheels it to the race lead. Coming up to halfway next time by, Kendall Tucker's now worked his way to the bottom. So is LeMay, as now the 4 drivers look to fight for the race lead. Halfway this time by is Rumsey now back on the defense. Contact back from Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers probably feels a little disrespected there out of Logan Rumsey. So going to try to throw it in on him. Maybe gets him going into 1 right here.
Trying to slide once again, forces a mistake though. Rumsey to the middle of the racetrack. Rogers now back along the inside tires. Takes the race lead. He defends hard, 3-wheels it. The Thumb Esports car back to the point once again as he slides it against the grass. He sends the fastest lap of the race so far, coming up to 2 laps to go. These two right now in the transfer spots. Kendall Tucker's already dropped back by more than a second, both hugging the bottom hard. He 3-wheels it over top the tires. Rumsey hits the tires. Kendall Tucker now with a shot as he comes up for second with a white flag this time. Rogers now pulls away by more than a second. He looks secure to try and move on. Kendall Tucker keeping things busy though for Rumsey. One last chance to slide it in. Hard slide. Can't get there. Checker flag. Brennan Rogers, Logan Rumsey move on. Kendall Tucker, the first driver out. He'll have to go through the mains. While LeMay, Stevens, Jansen, Rodman, Broderick, Grindy, and Corley all do not advance directly to the feature. And what was an intense battle for the win in Heat Race 1.
Yeah, that was a pretty good battle up front. Logan trying to run away with it after getting around Rogers, but Rogers just fighting back on the bottom to put himself back up in the lead and sets himself on the pole of the main event. He's going to be tough off the tough off the front row.
It's at the outside front row now. It's Isaac Soares who will lead them to the green flag for Heat Race 2. While it is Sabin Bybent who will start in second. James Tiernan, Brian Antonio, Thomas Brandon, Jeffrey Stanton, Hank Silver, Mark Broderick, John Steed, and the last driver did not set a qualifying time and is not at the racetrack, Lance Spomberg, who had minimal practice time overall, just 20 laps for tonight's action. It's going to be interesting who moves on for this one because Isaac we know is quick, but second spot could go to any one of maybe up to 5 people.
Yeah, this one's going to be real tough. James is going to be tough off the inside of the second row. Sabin runs extremely well in the midgets, especially on these short bull rings. Tommy Brandon starting in 5th. Brian Antonio, been on the service a long time, runs a lot of midgets. So, I mean, really the top 3 rows in this one pretty stacked. So this one could get pretty wild pretty quick. But we're seeing right now the middle of turns 3 and 4 starting to slick off on the bottom. So we're going to probably start to see guys come off of that bottom a little bit here in the second and third heat race. The cushion might be the place to be come the end of this heat race.
We've seen Kendall Tucker try and work it in. We'll see who tries to work it in this time. Again, we'll reset for 10 more laps for Heat Race 2. Isaac Soares off and away. Pole launch, though, from Bybent. James Tiernan already 2 second, going for the race lead. He tries to nearly 3-wheel it. Antonio up to 3rd. Stanton shuffle back to 6th. Soares back and forth with Tiernan. Tiernan leads the first lap. And a poor launch for the 99 of Bybent as he got shuffled back to 4th position off that green flag.
Yeah, and Sabin's starting to, or Isaac, excuse me, starting to play it tough right through the middle of the racetrack, waiting for James to make a mistake running the bottom side. So he's going to have to kind of get his momentum spooled up to see if he can get around James or on the top side, because I'm not sure if James is going to give him the bottom.
Yeah, he's being really defensive. Soares now trying to work in that middle line as a result. Soares back to the middle. Tiernan now this time goes to the bottom. And look at all that moisture starting to build up at the bottom of the racetrack. You have to wonder if drivers are starting to have to avoid that. It's in turn 3 entry, where it's really moisture up as a result of all the cars running down there.
Yeah, it's starting to blow the marbles up. We see one guy up there really just ripping the top down, trying to make something work. Here, but Brian Antonio running a pretty good race. Started in the second row, and he's moved up at least a little bit. This will put him on one of the front rows of one of the LCQs. But as I say that, announcer's curse does a little half spin coming off of turn 2.
He was bouncing around a lot. Now he shuffled back by about more than a second for the battle for second. 3 laps to go in Heat Race 2. Antonio looking to try and close in. Bybent try to close in. Those drivers still lockstep. James Tiernan, though, from the drop of the green flag, was able to take away the race lead after starting in 3rd spot after a poor launch for Isaac Soares. White flag this time by the 98, looking to close things on up. So does Isaac Soares. They take the white flag. Antonio losing 3/10 that time by to the cars in front. Soares nearly over-rotates it. Not enough time for Antonio to get there, though. James Tiernan, Isaac Soares move on directly to the feature. Antonio, Bybent, Broderick, Brandon, Stanton, Silver, and Steed will have to go to the LCQs.
Yeah, and that's a pretty impressive win for James off the second row there. Isaac, I think, maybe just slipped off the bottom there one time, let Tiernan get by, and that's all she wrote. They were pretty close to the same speed after that.
Indeed. We'll see how Heat Race 3, though, fares out for these drivers. This one will feature Rico Robos, alongside Zach Jade, yes, as Ducharme. We'll start alongside Erickson. Hayden Cardwell, keep an eye on him from row 3 inside alongside Chris Springer. Birthday starts in the 7th position. Then it's Trace Olson, Clayton Davies. Robert Smith did not set a qualifying time for tonight's action. So another stacked one here for Heat Race 3. Because not only do you have some of our top qualifiers in pace again in here, but you also have Hayden Cardwell looking to have a decent run after struggling in qualifying with those incidents.
Yeah, he's gonna be interesting to see how far forward he can move from the fifth starting spot, especially with teammate Ducharme up just ahead of him. And these two guys in the front row, Janes and Robles, they've been extremely quick in the midgets as of late, and fully expect to see really the top 3 rows once again really competitive in this heat race.
Vanderpool Racing in control of the field with the SSR car already up towards the wall, nearly off the green flag. Tyler Ducharme going for the race lead in the JDR Graphics sponsor machine. 5 wide behind them. 1 car got squeezed in the battle for third on back. Still, though, the top 3 now break away. Robles, Ducharme, Janes with great launches. Cardwell and company already up to the cushion. The rest of the field scattering him on the middle and the bottom lines. Robles 3-wheels it up to the stripe, slams it hard in the race lead. Now Tyler Ducharme on the defense. Here comes Clayton Davies. Janes now along with Cardwell, also trying to zoom in is Erickson. Several cars swarming around Ducharme, left, right, and center. Ducharme gets bounced around. Janes now to second, Davies now to second. Ducharme with the boost back on the bottom side. Back and forth with 6 laps to go this time.
Yeah, and Hayden is really making some hay around the top side of the racetrack. He's got that thing absolutely ripping around the fence of this place, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get by his teammate here to put himself into a transfer spot, but we're only halfway through, and it looks like he's got him right there.
Zach Janes now shuffle back after a mistake. Tyler Ducharme hits the bottom of the racetrack. Hayden Cardwell now officially 2nd by about a couple hundredths. Now grows the gap and then some as Ducharme starts the 3-wheel on the bottom of the racetrack. Contact with the outside wall for Hayden Cardwell with the back nerf bar. He now slams the wall with the tires. He loses some time, still recovers it back to the middle line. He now works his way away from the cushion after slamming that wall. Back up to the cushion though with 3 laps to go, looking for the race lead. Again, this is for 3rd position for the starting grid for the feature race. 2 to go this time by. It's been intense, Billy.
Yeah, and a really good run for Rico here, running out front. Just doing exactly what he needs to do, running a good line through the middle of the racetrack in 3 and 4, middle and bottom, and just making it work down in 1 and 2. As Cardwell's still trying to chase him down. He's not giving up. He's trying to get himself as far up in this feature race as he can, starting-wise. But Cardwell at the bottom now.
He goes for the slider and makes contact. Side by side for the checker flag at the stripe. I believe it's Cardwell. Cardwell got him by just a couple 100ths.
What a race. .0064 difference there. Big slider through 3 and 4. Just probably caught Robles off guard, but good run for Hayden and good run for Rico. Puts them both into the show.
Ducharme, Erickson, Janes, Davies, Birthday, Sprainer, Olsen will have to go to the LCQs. Heat race 4, now on track. Tyler Shell, Connor Lane in control of the field. Kane Deller starts in 3rd with Tyler Kendall in 4th. Dustin Griffiths in 5th. Mason Hannigan in 6th. Dalton Bishop 7th. Braden McMahon in 8th. And Colton Davis rounds out the top 9. Curious to see how Colton Davis does after he struggled in qualifying. One of those slick SimSport drivers who made a lot of mistakes in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if he saw what Hayden did in his heat race, and if he's going to try to go do the same thing and run around the top side of this racetrack. That's going to be really, from starting back there, that's exactly what he's going to have to do. He's not going to have an option. He's got to go where these guys aren't. If they're running around the bottom side of the racetrack or on the marbles as the cushion keeps getting moved up, you got to go where they're not in order to pass them. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here with 10 laps on the board.
Colton Davis trying to work in a bit of that cushion as the field is in the hands of Tyler Shell and Connor Lane up at the front of the field. Can talk to advance 10 more laps up on the board for Heat Race 4. Still 2 more heats of action left to go. Green flag is out. Off and away we go. Drivers already full wide in the battle for 3rd. Tyler Shell, bad launch. Contact. Deller and company make contact. Colton Davis now as a result up to 7th. Still swarming around 3 wide. Tyler Shell and company for the bubble spot. Hannigan up to 2nd already. He started in 6th. Kendall to the bottom trying to battle hard for that position now. Tyler Shell was shuffled to 4th after a poor start for him, Billy.
Yeah, not really sure what happened there. I don't know if he was just not expecting it to be as snug as it was on the bottom, but now he's trying to make the top side work.
Caution is out for the first time tonight. It's Kane Dellar in the number 95 and Dustin Griffiths in the 82 who get tangled up. We'll see what happened here on the replays.
Yeah, got into the wall up in turns 1 and 2 and goes for a little bit of a spin cycle. So first yellow of the heat races. An unfortunate end for Kane Dellar's heat race there. So he'll be coming from the back of one of the LCQs later on this evening.
So they'll regroup here, and keep in mind this is green flag laps only that do count for this. So it rebunches them up and gives a chance for a couple of them to reset, especially drivers like Colton Davis, who we mentioned a lot on Colton Davis. In the Pro Series, it's either been boom or bust in terms of the speed, where he's been quick or he finishes on his lid.
Yeah, it's now with this restart, it's going to give Tyler, I think, Tyler a chance here, starting in the 4th spot. It's going to give him a good shot here to try to get around Connor Lane to get going here.
Connor Lane, a bit of a checkup on that start as Mason Hannigan now getting swarmed. Up to the cushion they go. Bit of contact as Colton Davis again upside down in another event. No caution. We stay green with 6 green flag laps to go. What did I just say? Either upside down or with speed. Unfortunate there for Colton Davis.
Yeah, rough night for him so far, but he'll be back in the LCQs as, oh boy, Dalton Bishop gets into the inside, or gets into Tyler Schell a little bit. So Tyler, bad heat race for him, goes from 1st to 5th, but we got a battle up front for the lead.
Still side by side. Kendall with making contact. Mason Hannigan dives his way on by for second as a result. He wheels it up 4 wide, now back to 3 wide for second. Trying to slide up hard is the 77 Bishop. A bit of a squeeze. Kendall now contact back from Bishop. 3 laps to go in heat race number 4. Kendall now works to the middle of the racetrack. Slider back as the 77 tries to slide in front. Bishop resets. Now back here comes Tyler Schell into the conversation again. Hannigan regroups. Contact again to the back end for Tyler Schell. Slide back for Bishop. Back and forth coming to the white flag this time. Tyler Kendall now works to the bottom to try and defend. Bishop now resets to the top of the racetrack. Mason Hannigan back towards the middle again. Kendall slides from bottom to middle. Hannigan looking for one more chance. Bishop not close enough. Checker flag up in hand for Connor Lane. He wins heat race 4 while Kendall moves on.
What a heat race that was. That was something to watch. I wrote Schell off about 3 more laps and ran it back up to 2nd, but then still falls back to 5th. So the top 5 really just underneath of a blanket there at the end.
So Bishop, Hannigan, Schell, McMahon, Davis, Dellar, and Griffiths will have to go to the LCQs tonight. That brings up our 5th heat of 6 for tonight. And bring out the stacked field brigade. It's Alex Bergeron and Skylar Brown on the front row. Shea Powell starts in row 2 with James Edens. Tyler Street, Peyton Greaves, Brad Faria, and Stephen Hill. Michael Klein rounds out the 9 drivers. Another stacked one with the drivers in this one. 4 pro drivers in the top 2 rows.
Yeah, that just shows the quality of field that's here. 4 guys really fighting for 2 spots. And again, Peyton Greaves starting outside of the 3rd row. He said earlier in chat that he kind of felt like he was just donating his entry fee. But I know he loves this place a lot, so it wouldn't shock me to see Peyton have a good run here and get up towards the front. But man, it's going to be hard to beat this front 2 rows right now.
This is going to be entertaining as can be. Your picks to move on in this field, then?
Oh boy, I think truthfully it's probably going to be Aiden's. If I have to pick, it's going to be Edens and Bergeron. I think those 2 guys just so good in midgets anymore.
Green flag's out. 10 laps up on the board for heat race 2. We're hearing that Dalton will get an end of longest line for the qualifier with the contact with Colton Davis of note. That was involving Davis flipping upside down off the launch in the last heat race. Skylar Brown, meanwhile, was up to 2nd after the launch. Alex Bergeron to the cushion. Edens also to the cushion. The cushion now starting to really come into play, more so than the middle and bottom lines all of a sudden. 8 laps to go in heat race number 5 as the cushion really worked in turns 1 and 2. Still up on the top side, still no moves quite yet as Brown trying to find his way towards the edge of Alex Bergeron's car still, Billy.
Yeah, he's really making the top side work, but Bergeron a little bit into the fence, put Skylar Brown right on the tail tank of him. But James Eden's there's just waiting for somebody to make a mistake to get himself catapulted into the top two.
He goes up towards the cushion. Brown goes for the slide jump for the lead. Squeezes Bergeron. Bergeron gets on by. This opens up the door for Edens in the momentum. Will Edens be able to take advantage to his preferred line, the bottom of the racetrack? Goes for the massive slide. Side by side with the leader. Now back and forth for second. Brown for the slide jump back. He tries to give the squeeze back to Edens. 4 laps to go in Heat Race 5 as Brown goes for the massive slider. That quick yellow and blue machine hits the Nerf bars of James Edens as Edens forced to regroup with 3 to go. Getting a little dicey here for second spot, Billy.
Yeah, these guys are really putting it on each other. Skylar's throwing some sliders, some big old bombs. But James Eden's still sticking right along with him, trying to make something work as we got 2 to go.
Final couple laps. Edens now back to the bottom of the racetrack. Looking to regroup in the Swindell Speed Lab machine. Brown trying to work his way from the middle of the racetrack. Bergeron holding comfortably onto the race lead for the white flag. This time by, once again, here at Kokomo. Brown cushion. Edens goes back to the bottom. Will there be enough time for him to try and go for the slide? Massive sit on Brown. Just about hits the tire. Bergeron and Brown move on. Edens sent it, trying to lick that stamp, and ends up licking the stamp a corner later.
Yeah, that was a James might not have been a little bit happy there with Skylar, as Skylar threw a couple of bombs on him, but those two sticking it into the show, Bergeron and Brown. What a heat race. But Shea Paulo fell back to 5th there, so he's going to be starting fairly deep in the qualifier.
It's Eden, Street, Powell, Greaves, Hill, Klein, Mario, who will have to go to the LCQs for tonight. That brings us one more heat race. 2 more drivers will advance directly to the feature. Joel Berkeley, Bruce Klingen, trying to make sure they're them. Cole Newhoffen, Coulter West, Perigo, Elby, Stewart, Balfour. And then Dustin Hall round out the field. This is going to be interesting how this one plays out to end things off, and especially since the track has really changed a ton since the start.
Yeah, this track is really vastly different from the first heat race to the 6th and final heat race. So these guys are really going to have to change their setups quite a bit in order to make it roll around the top side of the racetrack now, as the bottom is really, really in a troubled spot if you have to be down there.
Drivers looking to set things on up. Again, it is Berkeley, Klingen in control of the field, Newhoffen West. iRacing safety truck is off. Berkeley going for a later launch, off and away he goes. The orange and yellow machine with a good launch at the bottom of the racetrack. This time for Slick Sim Sport. Newhoffen up to second quickly. The 44 shuffled back to P3 quickly as he gets slid for third spot. Back and forth they go. Top 2 now fight for the race. Lead near contact as Newhoffen gets squeezed. Bit of contact behind for the caution flag. And contact after the caution flag for the race lead.
Yeah, I'll have to go back through and see what the caution was for. I'm not seeing anybody stopped on the racetrack, but I do see Bruce Klingen back towards the back of the field, so we'll take a peek and see if that was him. Yeah, there it is, as he got loose through 3 and 4, drives to the bottom, gets into 1 and 2, goes for a little bit of a spin cycle, and just catches a little bit of a tap. So, unfortunate there for Bruce, as he'll go towards the rear of the field for this restart.
Paul Balfour also had a bit of a spin towards the back of the field, so he's also towards the rear end of the grouping as a result. So he will reset with 8 green flag laps to go. And it was getting intense between Berkeley and Newhoffen right before that caution flag, too.
Yeah, no love lost between Cole Newhoffen and the entire Slick and Swindell Speed Lab team. So this is going to be an interesting one. But Adam Elby already up to 5th right now. So he's going to be sitting here trying to get himself into the top 2.
Green flag's back out. Berkeley looking to try and defend. Here he goes, trying to move his way into the show as Newhoffen shuffled back to third to the middle line. He's lost the bottom. Now he shuffled back behind Adam Elby, who is now up to third spot. Elby back and forth with Newhoffen. Newhoffen makes tire-to-tire contact after hitting the inside part of the bumps. He hits the grass. He nearly spins it around. He nearly crashes into the victory lane as Elby now up to third completely outright. Contact behind Newhoffen and company. We stay green. Klingen got involved in more contact with halfway this time. Berkeley and Perigo now in the top two.
Yeah, Newhoffen back to 7th right now, so he's really fallen off the pace after a little bit of contact earlier. But LB trying to make the bottom work, but Brett Perigo really rolling the bottom to perfection, about as good as you can possibly do. But way different heat race this time around. We saw the last couple one around the top side. This one pretty bottom dominant, but Brett's making it work around the bottom as well. So LB trying to make a different move through the center of the racetrack to gain a little bit more speed, as they've only got coming to 2 to go.
Final couple laps. Perigo still looking to hold on by more than a second. Berkeley has pulled off and away. Will there be any mistakes? That's going to be the big thing. Of note, Jeffrey Stewart in this race is up to 4th. He started in 7th position, but not enough time with the white flag out this time by. I'll be trying something different. Not close enough to get anywhere, though. Still good starting position for the LCQs as Berkeley will wheel it across for the checkered flag. Perigo finishes in 2nd. LB, Stewart, West, Hall, Newhoffen, Belfour, and Klingen will have to go to the LCQs tonight.
Yeah, and a good run for Jeff there, getting himself set up a little bit better for the LCQs later on. So not too bad of a run as we are getting into our first of 4 LCQs on the evening.
Yes, indeed, and this one is stacked to start off. Again, these drivers' top 2 will advance from this respective grouping of cars. It'll be Kendall Tucker, James Edens in row 1, Jake Erickson, Gage Stevens in row 2, Shea Powell, Clayton Davies in row 3. Then it's Chase Rodman and Stephen Hill in row 4, Chris Sprainer and Aiden Grindy in row 4. Rounding out the driver, round 5 rather, while rounding out the field is Brad Faria, who rounds out the 11 drivers in this respective LCQ. 12 laps rather than the 12 for these groupings of cars this time. We'll see how drivers do with a second chance to try and lock themselves into the show. Towards the back of the field, yes, but it's still a valuable opportunity to try and move on and join the 12 others who have already advanced.
Yeah, this one, again, every one of these races that we've had has been completely stacked with either pros or guys that are pro-level talent. To see a last chance qualifier with Kendall Tucker and James Edens on the front row, that's something you don't see very often. Just goes to show how tough this field is to make tonight.
Absolutely, and as well the need to be able to adapt, since it's not like sprint cars, for example, for some of these competitors in the World Championship side, where you have that wing to adjust. Yeah,
with these you do have some in-car adjustments with shocks, but not near as big of a change as you do with the big wings on the top of them.
They start midgets off and ready to fly. Green flag is out. First LCQ is underway as Kendall Tucker brings them into turns 1 and 2. Already Gage Stevens and James Edens looking to roll their way along the cushion. Good speed for Edens as he gains a ton of time coming out of 3 and 4 on Tucker to end off lap 1. To the bottom side goes Tucker. To the cushion goes Edens again. Gage Stevens follows suit. Jake Erickson just running the middle of the racetrack for counterpart. Near 3 wide in the battle for third as more cars join the fight. Clayton Davies also joins the fray once more. Back and forth for third on back as they start to try and gain some time back on Edens. Contact. Erickson hit the side tires of Clayton Davies' car. All while James Edens slides his way into the race lead. Kendall Tucker for the slight drop back. The teammates go back and forth at the point. Tucker now at the stripe leads. James Edens with the crossback on the bottom of the racetrack. He slides it right up in front of Kendall Tucker as Tucker in the 00 works the cushion this time. 7 to go in the first LCQ as Kendall Tucker now goes to the bottom of the racetrack for the counter mark. He tries to go side by side. They've gained a 0.2 of a second buffer on the rest of the pack, but here comes Gage Stevens, bringing Clayton Davies with them on the cushion as they now join the fray. Tucker on the defense. Gage Stevens forced to check up. Davies now tries to go to the middle of the racetrack. Davies now goes to the bottom of the racetrack as the caution is out for Shea Powell.
Tough break for Shea. Late entry into the field. We'll go back and see what happened. See what happened here for him. As we'll actually go on board with Shea as he's rolling the bottom side of the racetrack trying to make it work. Gets in a little bit. Pushes up off a 4. And just gets a little bit too low into an infield tire, and over she goes for Shea Paulo. So...
And for obvious reasons, done for the race too. Significant damage to that car.
Yeah, that's a bummer for Shea. I know this was one he was looking forward to. Late entry on the day, but just a tough break for Shea there as his night is effectively over for the Epperson Painting Night Before the 500. But getting ready to go back to green here. Double file restarts make everything a little bit more interesting. If you're Kendall Tucker, you got to be a little concerned starting on the outside.
The outside just hasn't been able to get good launches today. This time, though, it got a decent one. Off and away, James Eden still with the race lead, though off the jump. Clayton Davies quickly to the cushion. Gage Stevens as well, and Jake Erickson. On the bottom side of the racetrack, though, is Erickson trying to wheel his way around. He gets shuffled about. Clayton Davies up to third. Side by side for the lead with 4 laps to go. Some cars starting to bounce the very edge of their tires against the wall. Kendall Tucker looking to bounce his way to the top of the pylon. Side by side with Edens. Edens loses the point. Kendall Tucker takes the point at the stripe. 3 laps to go. Bit more contact with the wall behind with Clayton Davies as the top 3 have broken away. Tucker now trying to go still side by side with Edens. Edens still in that dirt midgets trying to work to the middle bottom lines. He's talked about it in the past. He prefers those lines on several different circuits. Kendall Tucker preferring this cushion still for the white flag this time. Near contact on the diamond line. Tucker back up to the top. He pulls off by a couple tenths. James Edens pulls ahead down the back straight away. Tucker pulls ahead for turn 3. Who will take the checkered flag is the question. James Edens looks to slide it forward. Kendall Tucker at the stripe. It is Kendall Tucker by a couple 100ths as they crash into one of the last place cars.
What a race between the two teammates. Tucker and Edens punch their tickets into tonight's feature event out of the first LCQ. So that'll end it for Davies, Erickson, Roudman, Hill, Stevens, Grindy, Faria, Springer, and Paulo. But what a race those guys had on it, and we're getting ready to go into the next qualifier where we'll see just as big a names in this one too, boys.
We talked about a lot, and Brian Antonio, he'll bring us to the green flag with Adam Elby in second. Little Hurricane will start in third, Mark Broderick in fourth, Weston Command in row 3, while Standing in Newhoffen starting in row 4. Kane Deller starts in ninth. John Steed looking to recover from trouble in his respective heat, starts in 10th. And Klingen rounds out the 11 cars in the second LCQ. Going to be interesting to watch that 11 car if he can get up to a transfer spot after some of the physicality in his heat.
Yeah, and am I seeing something that Antonio did not grid?
Yes, he did not take to the grid.
Oh boy, so Brian Antonio gives up the pole position in the LCQ, and he moves himself out of the night before the 500, which moves Mason Hannigan to the pole. So shuffle that inside row up one spot, but wow, that's a shocker. He must have had some PC troubles or some sort of mechanical issue to keep him out of the qualifier.
In a good position too. Now it's the question of how these drivers will do in the second LCQ. Mason Hannigan off and away. A good launch for the Little Hurricane as LB already quickly to the cushion. All while Coulter West jumped his way up to third. Top 2 have already pulled away by half a second. Cole Newhoffen already got hit to the back of the field. Some temper starting to boil up at the very back of the pack.
Yeah, and we kind of expected this with these guys and Adam Elby kind of rooting his way through around the top side of the racetrack around Hannigan, showing him where the line's at on the racetrack. But yeah, we anticipated this. We talked about it earlier with these guys that were starting towards the back of these races. you got to go. It's time to go now, and it bit Cole Newhoff there as he's back there in 9th right now.
Make it 10th. He got sandwiched is the reason he's back that far in 4 seconds back off the jump. But a great launch since then for Adam Elby, and check that. McMahon is the car who goes around. One of the cars involved in that sandwich on the first lap. Newhoffen is the one who brings the caution. So Brandon McMahon brings us under yellow with coming up to 8 green flag laps to go, and he had help.
Yeah, we're going, here's the replay on it. Driving through, Steed got into the fence a little bit and got off the wall, came down the racetrack, and Braden goes for a spin cycle. So the man from Nashville, Tennessee has a very, very rough fake 500 this year. Definitely not what he was looking for, but I'm sure he'll be back.
Absolutely. As Adam Elby, I don't know if he would have wanted to see that caution after how big he was pulling away from Mason Hannigan. But this is what Newhoffen needed to regroup. He's going to line up on the bottom of the racetrack. Row 4. Take an eye on that and keep an eye on that, rather. Elby, Hannigan, off and away in the front row. A great launch for them. 3 wide in the heart of the pack already as Elby clears on by in the Swindell Speed Lab machine. Nearly smacks the wall as the Little Hurricane goes for the bottom. Contact behind them. Caution is out. It's John Steed and Coulter West who get tangled up. Both of them had some air time as well down the back straightaway.
Yeah, John Steed having a rough qualifier. 2 guys got all messed up on the top, and there they go. We'll actually go on board here with John Steed, just so you can kind of see off the restart of what actually happened there. And you can really see how slick this racetrack is getting. Even through the middle, there's still some moisture, but not a ton. And they just make contact, and over she goes. So Steed goes for a tumble, and his night will be over in the 7 car.
Significant damage as we'll see how things regroup here as race control all set to regroup for the double file restart. It's Elby and Hannigan in the transfer spot, standing quietly in 3rd. Klingen has worked his way from 11th up to 4th with that caution flag. Broderick and Dellar among your top 5 cars. Green flag's back out, and Cole Newhoffen is spun it out. No caution, he loses a decent amount of time. The Little Hurricane, though, tries to wheel his way to the race lead. Caution is now out of the back of the field. And believe it might have been Kane Dellar. We'll have to see for sure. There was a car who smacked the wall. No, it was Coulter West who dived to the infield to get out of his race car after being involved in that last caution as we're now single file. Have to wonder if the damage from the initial wreck helped feed back into that one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering too. If he just was already broke and got into the fence and effectively ending his night. So tough LCQ here, but got just over halfway when we go back green. So LB probably likes to see this go to single file.
And like we said, it did. Just past halfway. Expecting that halfway rather this time. As LB in control of the field. LB brings him along the top wall, dives him off the corner. Green flag's back out from Kokomo. He looks to wheel it from the middle of the racetrack. Hannigan still back to his preferred line off the starts in the bottom. Standing up towards the top. Clinton's trying to fight with him. Side by side, nearly for the race lead. Hannigan not able to get towards the top side by side for the straightaway. LB clear on by. 5 laps to go, coming up to 4 laps to go. Clinton now losing time in the result of that fight with Stanton. Broderick has also joined that fight. That is now 8/10 back of your race leaders who are still scrapping to try and get track position. And you have to think the more they fight for 3rd, the more that hurts their chance to get up to Mason Hannigan, who is struggling in the middle of the racetrack. Right now, the difference, 1/10 a lap among your top 2 competitors. 3 to go that time by.
Yeah, and Mark Broderick putting on a show, trying to run, oh boy, and have another car get upside down, but he left the server immediately, so tough break for Kane Deller there. As we're coming on the second lap, or 2 laps to go here, we're coming to the white right now.
Adam Elby has put on a clinic in this LCQ, started in second, has led just about all the laps. Now, he'll come to the checker flag this time. He and Mason Hannigan will move on. They go to the feature race. They made it look easy as Broderick, Lingen, Newhoffen, Stanton, McMahon, Delaware West, Steed, Grindy will not move on. Those drivers are done. And for those wondering, yes, that was McMahon who was upside down on the closing lap to end off this one. So eventful LCQ so far. We'll see how LCQ number 3 does to sort things on out. Where these drivers are all set to re-rack them and stack them with Tyler Ducharme, who will bring us to the green flag this time. It'll be Gregory LeMay, who will start in second, Tower Street in third, Janes in fourth. Jansen, Greaves, Birthday, Ryan Broderick, Michael Klein, Olsen. I'm on your 10 cards, and Greg Corley in 11th overall on the pylon. Those drivers off and away for this respective LCQ. Of note, a couple drivers have elected not to take part in this LCQ, Olsen and Corley, so 9 cars are in LCQ number 3 here, Billy.
Yeah, 9 cars for 12 laps, all fighting for just 2 spots. And again, you know, the top 3 rows, extremely quick, a lot of fast speeds there. But as this track changes, it's the top side's starting to get pretty slick, so that middle's really the place to be right now. So you're still going to have some room to pass, but you can't really make any mistakes at this point because the guys right behind you are going to swallow you up if you do.
Already near contact in row 2. Green flag is off and away. Jades with a very slow start from 4th, though. LeMay already up to the cushion, trying to work his way behind his Tyler Street. Street to the outside. Ducharme to the inside, nearly hits the inside tires, wheeling it right up against the grass. LeMay nearly hit in the back end by Tyler Street. Those cars get close to the wall as Street tries to dominate off. Caution is out. It's Jensen. It's the 67 who brings this under caution and quickly in LCQ 3.
Yeah, tough break for Miles. Had a rough night last night in the Chrysler Donut Patriot 100 and just gets into the fence and upside down it goes. So that'll be the end of Miles Jansen's fake 500 run effectively, as he's still on the racetrack, but I've got to imagine that car is going to have some damage to it.
Absolutely. That'll regroup the field here, and it was off to a good launch. Sure, you keep an eye on overall, in your opinion, that could be the biggest impact driver here to try and cut their way through this field.
I think really the Michael Berthet is one to watch. Haven't really seen him too much at a midget, but he's been getting quicker and quicker on the sim. Again, Tyler Street too as well. The guy that starts in the middle of the front row tomorrow for the Wicked Energy Gun Fake 500 rolls off 3rd in this LCQ. So either one of those 2 guys has a shot, but you really can't sleep on Janes either.
Green flag's back out. 10 laps to go in LCQ 3. Tower Street up to the cushion. LeMay trying to hold on to second. Berthay, though, is working his way at the bottom of the racetrack. Similar line to Tyler Ducharme right now as Street. Big amount of momentum in the battle for second. 3 wide now for that spot. LeMay in the middle. Street gets blocked hard by LeMay. Hits the back Nerf bar. Hits him again. Forced to check up. Berthay now works to the bottom once more as he works now to the middle for turns 1 and 2. Approaching halfway, a couple of laps for now. LeMay trying to pull off and away. This allowed Tyler Ducharme to pull away by almost 2 seconds. Half a straightaway is the lead. He's set the fastest time of the race by half a second so far. LeMay's now pulled away from Berthay by a couple car lengths for the halfway mark this time by. Things started to settle on down here in this battle for second. Miles Jansen of note as well, though, Billy. He's recovered to 5th position already.
Yeah, so Miles is really on the move. Big slider there out of Peyton. Causes Berthet to turn down, and he's going to get himself into trouble on entry into corner number 1. But Jansen's there. Oh, and they make contact, and that saves Berthet a little bit, but he's back and forth. So Peyton Grease trying to make some hay around the top side of the racetrack, or through the middle, trying to find his way to the rear bumper of LeMay.
Can they find the way there is the thing. Only a 10th quicker last time. Both of them up to the cushion this time. LeMay trying to work the middle bottom lines. 3 laps to go in LCQ3.
Oh, and Peyton into the fence, but he keeps it going, but that thing is definitely broke. So Peyton Grease in some serious, serious trouble and puts Tyler Street back into the 3rd spot.
That's going to lose him time as caution is out. Jane's involved in trouble. He's already put his car on the tow truck. It's the 28 who brings us under caution. And this brings us into green-white checker territory. Let's take a look.
Yeah, James extremely tight on the right rear of that car. It might have been broke from some damage prior, but he gets into the corner and just, yeah, does a little bit of a park job there. I'm not really sure why the yellow came out. Might have just been from getting slow off the corner, but that's definitely not what Ducharme or LeMay needed there, as they were pretty much checked out, and this puts Tyler Street back on the rear bumper of LeMay there, and he was pretty quick and got into the rear of him going into turn number 3 a couple of times. So going to be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Especially since I don't know if Grease realizes his car is as broken as it is. It's crawling by 35% 35 degrees nearly.
Yeah, he got into the fence real hard. You can see him fighting the steering wheel right now under yellow. So this thing's definitely going to be a handful for him. But weirder things have happened in iRacing, that's for sure.
Ducharme very early launch this time, off and away. LeMay caught off guard. Street immediately goes up to the cushion. 2 laps to decide it. Who will move on is the big question as Greaves loses his spot with that turtle car. Broderick is now off the racetrack for the white flag this time. Ducharme hugs the bottom. Here comes Tyler Street. Works against the outside wall. Ducharme now side by side as he tries to hork off LeMay. 3/10 the separation. 3 wide for the top 2 spots to advance. Moving on is Ducharme and LeMay as LeMay finishes behind by 2/10. Tyler Street floored it into the fence. This was an intriguing finish to that one here, Billy, as Street really tried to push hard.
Yeah, he was really pushing to try to get himself up into that spot. Just couldn't make it happen. I think if he had maybe 1 or 2 more laps to go, he would have put himself into the show. But good run for LeMay to put himself in, and same thing. Ducharme hit an infield tire a couple times, so he almost lost it himself, but came away with a victory.
Birthday Jansen, Klein, Greaves, Broderick, Janes, along with Olsen, Corley, also do not advance. The drivers who look to try and move on in the final LCQ, though, for the final 2 spots in the field tonight, Bishop, Byben, Stewart and Shell, Brandon and Hall, Davis and Silver, Balfour and Griffiths, and the other 2 drivers did not qualify tonight in the field. Remember, Dalton Bishop, despite being on the front here, will have to serve an end-of-long point penalty for the racing incident with Colton Davis he had, or rather the incident he had that led to a race control penalty. So he's going to have to sacrifice first for the bottom/10th position.
Yeah, which that moves Jeffrey Stewart now into the pole. And a couple weeks ago for the DOB 4 Crown Nationals, Jeffrey set fast time, led a few laps of the feature. So Jeff has speed in these midgets. It's just going to be if he can hold off a hard charge on Tyler Shell, and I expect to see Dalton Bishop towards the front of the field as well by the end of this race. So this is going to be a tough one for these guys.
The iRacing safety truck is off. The final 2 spots in the Epperson Painting Night Before the 500 are on the line as already contact before the green flag. Already bumper tag going on with Dustin Griffiths and company as green flag is out. Off and away as Tyler Shell already shuffled out to 6th spot. 3 wide for the lead as the council tries to run towards the middle. Stewart, David, Contact! Spinning around to the bottom of the racetrack. Caution flag is out. Bybent gets the worst of it.
Yeah, that's definitely not the start you want to have. But that whole entire thing started down here on the backstretch. Bybent gets in underneath Jeffrey. Tommy Brandon gets by. And Colton Davis just kind of bullhorned his way through. And when that happened, that just put both Bishop and Saban upside down. So that's a tough break for Saban, as he was one of the favorites going into tonight after qualifying.
Absolutely. His car out. Dalton Bishop, as mentioned, involved. As we get the one to green this time. Jeffrey Stewart. Tower Shell and Company, they're going to have to regroup here. Delayed yellow this time.
Yeah, not sure if we're going to see a penalty or if it was just to get the alignment right. Somebody might have been out of order, but yeah, tough break for Saban there. That's definitely not what you want to see. Unfortunate break for him.
Yeah, and after all that shuffling, that regroups things to Stewart and Shell, Davis and Brandon, Hall and Belfort, then Bishop and Griffiths. They're still in the midst of sorting things out at the moment for the double file. One to go signal. See how things fare out here as they look to clear things up for race control. Drivers are all clear for the start. Jeffrey Stewart off and away. Green flag's out. He and Tyler Shell on the launch. And a clean launch for those drivers as Shell up towards the top of the wall. Colton Davis electing to go to the middle. Same line for Jeffrey Stewart as Dustin Hall and Thomas Brandon all shuffle about. Make it now a 6-car scrap for the final 2 spots. Those cars have gained a buffer of at least a couple car lengths from the rest of the pack. Rest of the field starting to work its way and migrate its way around the middle of 3 and 4 towards the top, more so in 1 and 2 with the moisture. Tyler Shell side by side for the race lead, looking to bring that Gumby-inspired car to the point. The Catch Fence Apparel Company car not able to take the lead. Stewart holds on to the point in the Council car.
And look at Dustin Griffiths coming from the back of the field. He's up almost into the 3rd spot now, just absolutely tearing the fence down, trying to get himself into a transfer spot after an abysmal week. To the race lead goes Dustin Griffiths.
What a massive slide of contact with his teammate. Big save as Tyler Shell able to hold on to it, but Dustin Griffiths shuffled back into the heart of the pack. That could take a couple laps to regroup. Halfway that time by the momentum. Now it's Thomas Brandon to the race lead. Dalton Bishop is now to 2nd. Jeffrey Stewart is now trying to fight hard. 3, 4 different lines of cars working as here comes Shell again back to the point. Colton Davis again against the fence. Nearly goes upside down. Waste day green. 4 to go this time by. 3 wide for 2nd as Shell gets the biggest boost.
Yeah, and Dalton Bishop, after an early race incident, puts himself into the 3rd spot, just really rolling the bottom. Tyler gets tight and upside down.
And he's flying with Dustin Griffiths. Caution is out for both of them. And now it regroups things with 3 green flag laps to go. And man, Tyler Shell for the 2nd big event this week flies into the sky.
Yeah, and we'll go on board with Tyler here as he's really just trying to make the top side work. Gets into 3, a little bit snug, and that's all she wrote. Nowhere for anybody else to go. But actually, Tyler's still on the racetrack. I don't know how hurt that car is going to be, but he's definitely at least still got himself a shot here. But what in the world of a final LCQ for the evening?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Very crazy. But drivers are all set to go. Thomas Brandon and Dalton Bishop are your top 2 for the green flag this time. 3 laps to decide it. Already a great launch for the top two as Brandon prefers the middle line. Bishop prefers the very bottom of the racetrack. Side by side as Brandon works his way higher this time. 2 laps to go. 3 wide for third position. They look to scrap it out behind them. That loses time to the top 2. Dalton Bishop in contact. Colton Davis spins around in a 720. No caution flag as we take the white. Brandon looking to take the checker. Bishop looking to make sure he moves on for clear-cut movement. He goes for the race win towards the bottom. No. Thomas Brandon moves on. Dalton Bishop finishes in second as they crash behind him at the start and finish line for third on back.
What a race there that we just saw. That one was, I would say, out of all the races we've had tonight, that was the biggest shocker. I'm not, Jeffrey Stewart coming off the pole led most of the race. Hank Silver came through the field quite a bit to run up to 5th. Bad luck there for Tyler Schell and Dustin Griffiths. They were both really giving it everything that they had there.
Also, as mentioned, Hall, Stewart, Silver, Belfour, Bement, Davis, company all out. Drivers now in the midst of letting the track prepare itself out. Track is closed for the final minute and 30 seconds of preparation. That means it's time to regroup and drivers prepare to go racing here. Your thoughts as we get ready to go feature racing for 50 laps.
Yeah, 50 laps is a long, long time around this place. It's going to really, really change. We talked about doing a little bit of track prep, but decided to leave the water truck, put it away for the rest of the evening. So the track's working in rather nicely. The top side's extremely quick. The bottom is still proving to be a good place to be, but the middle still has a lot of grip. So it's going to be a tough feature for these guys. 50 laps is a very long time to run around this racetrack. So going to be a wild one. You got to be patient, but you got to be aggressive, especially if you're one of those guys starting in the back from the LCQs. So it's going to be a wild one.
It's going to be a very wild one. Your picks to win it.
Oh, boy. This field really, truthfully, to me, is completely wide open. Anybody from Bergeron to, I think, Brett Perigo was extremely quick in his heat race. Very impressive, actually. But, if I have to pick, it's going to be really hard to bet against Hayden Cardwell. He's one of the faster guys on the sim, especially in these dirt midgets, especially when the tracks start getting slick. So wouldn't shock me to see Hayden Cardwell win, as he actually won his heat race. So, from the 5th spot. So he was one of the ones that really made the top side work for the first time. But this field is just so wide open. So wide open. It's hard to pick just one true winner, but it's going to be a wild one. It's hard to bet against Hayden Cardwell, especially when the track's starting to get slicked off.
The Epperson Painting Night Before the 500 is all set to go feature racing. Let's take a look at how they'll start for tonight's 20-car field. In row 1, it's Brendan Rogers alongside James Tiernan. In row 2, it's Hayden Cardwell and Connor Lane, with Alex Bergeron rounding out your top 5. Rounding out your heat race winners, it's Joel Berkeley. Logan Rumsey starts in 7th with Isaac Soares in 8th. Rico Robles starts in 9th with Tyler Kendall in 10th. Skylar Brown starts in 11th with Brett Perigo in 12th position with Kendall Tucker and Adam Elby 13th and 14th. Tyler Ducharme starts in 15th position with Thomas Brandon. James Edens in the Little Hurricane. Mason Hannigan starts in 18th. Gregory LeMay and Dalton Bishop round out your entrants who have made it to the feature race and have locked in a minimum of $20 in prize pool money. $125 to the winner tonight, $100 to second, $75 to third, $60 for fourth, $50 for the top 5. Then it's $45 for 6, $40 for 7, $35 for 8, $30, $25, and $23 for a top 15 run. Once again, today's race presented by Epperson Painting. Epperson Painting Incorporated has an outstanding reputation for providing quality work on time and at a competitive price. The client list is big and small and includes industries as diverse as hospitals, hotels, factories, and retail stores. To book a consultation for your project, go to cppaint.com. Quick final thoughts before we go green.
It's going to be a race of saving your equipment, making sure you don't get into the wall, make sure you don't get into the infield tires, just making sure you're there at the end of 50 laps.
Green flag is out. We're underway for the Epperson Painting Night Before the 500. And a good launch for Brennan Rogers in the Thumb Esports car. He's off and away by 3 car lengths. They fight hard on the bottom of the racetrack. Several more trying to work in the middle and top lines on this fairly fresh racetrack. Still looking to steal and scrap and slide all their way around Hayden Cardwell. Closest to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to hold off Alex Bergeron. Logan Rumsey has contact. Bergeron gets shuffled around. He's shuffled to the middle of the racetrack as several more look to dive their way to the bottom. And a very physical start for the drivers in the heart of the pack in the first couple laps in this one. Rogers is already pulled away by more than a second from the rest of this heart of the pack. This is all well. Kendall Tucker, Rico Robos, and Dalton Bishop are among the drivers who have been bumped around and shuffled about. No caution flag as they have been shuffled to the very back of the field with Greg LeMay and company. Up towards the top wall, though, Hayden Cardwell starting to work in that cushion. Wants to try and find some different lines. Connor Lane trying to work the middle. Rumsey still trying to work that very bottom of the racetrack. Several different lines starting a formation up with 45 to go. One car bounces off into the tires. Tyler Kendall crashes to the inside of the racetrack. No caution. That was from 10th. What a crazy start to this one here, Billy.
Yeah, this is pretty much what we kind of expected. 3 lines of racing, the top line, the bottom, the middle, it's all really, really good right now. But Connor Lane is hanging tough right through the middle of the racetrack. So, you know, and again, this track is going to be changing. If your line is good right now, it's not going to be here in a few laps once this track keeps wearing in. But these guys are just beating down the bottom of the racetrack, and it's going to be a matter of if this race stays green, this track's going to be changing an awful lot throughout this run. But Cardwell giving it all he can get up on the top, but Rumsey and Berkeley still rolling the bottom, just really making it work, slow rolling it, keeping the speed. But here comes Adam Elby from the back of the field. He has already worked his way into the top 10.
That's up 8 positions. He has been lightning quick since his respective races earlier tonight. He looks to try and slide his way around Rumsey and Connor Lane still at the very top of the racetrack. That's in the battle still going on for the top 5. Rogers and Cardwell within 3/10. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, still 5 cars grouped together. 3 cars now go up to the cushion. Joel Berkeley still working the bottom. Lane's trying to work his way to the middle. Rumsey now trying to work his way towards the top of the racetrack. Elby now trying to follow the tire track still. Nearly to the inside tires goes Berkeley. This is all while Rogers is now under attack for the race lead. Cardwell, massive slide. Looks for the lead. Takes it away out of turn 2. Here comes the counterpoint from Brendan Rogers. He goes for the massive slider back. He clears on by, but Cardwell now goes for the cross back. Nearly no. He goes up to the cushions. Rogers goes to the middle to defend. Cardwell slams on the gas. Side by side down the back stretch. This allows Rumsey back within arm's reach. Rogers with the slide. Back on forward goes Cardwell. Crossover back for Rogers into turn 1. He goes through the slick. He's up through the marbles once more. Back to the middle line for the crossover back once more goes Cardwell. Both go right up to the cushion once more. Cardwell taps the wall. Rogers keeps it away from the fence. He goes back towards the middle and through the slick in the bottom of the lines once more. 34 to go as the caution is out for Kendall Tucker.
What an opening 15 laps that we just had. As we'll go check and see what happened to Kendall Tucker as he was towards the back of the field, trying to work his way up through and just gets into the fence and goes for a spin cycle. So not the race that Kendall wanted. Expected a little bit him to be a little bit quicker there earlier on in the race, but I think the man of the hour right now, the race for the lead is incredible up front with Cardwell and Rogers, but the man of the hour is Adam Elby from the back of the field from the LCQs to the top 5 now. So an incredible run for Adam Elby. He's got that thing really hooked up.
Yeah, he is, look, lightning quick since his LCQ, to say the very least. But it's been interesting how the bottom line has also played out a little bit to where it seems Rumsey and Berkeley have set their cars up, more so Berkeley, for that particular line. How long do you think that can keep on working for them as we get the one to go?
It's gonna be interesting to see how this track changes throughout. A little bit of crowding going on the start, but it's gonna be interesting though to see how this track keeps changing. Now Elby goes to the middle for the first time. He's getting off the top, but 4 wide down the backstretch, and here comes Bergeron.
Bergeron wants some of his positions back after getting shuffled from the bottom early on. He's right now battling for the top 5. Rumsey stuck in the middle of the racetrack. Rogers stuck in the Hornet's Nest. Berkeley looking to break away in the meme car, the very bottom. Rogers slides up to the top, carries momentum. Caution is out. And this time it's Isaac Soares. He was in 12th position at the time of the stripe.
Yeah, and we'll take a look there. Gets up on the... running through the middle of the racetrack, and then just kind of... oh, that's a little bit of a netcode issue there to spin the car out. So tough break for Isaac. I know not what he was looking for, as he was one of the fastest cars in the field earlier on in the race.
Absolutely. But now that's going to regroup and restack up the field with 32. Or check that, 31. Green flag laps to go, coming to 30. Again, to reset your top running order, it's Cardwell, Berkeley, Rogers, Rumsey, and Bergeron top 5. Elby, Lane, Brown, Edens, Ducharme is now inside the top 10. Your biggest movers so far, or among your biggest movers so far tonight, a 17-9 for James Edens, a 15-10 for Ducharme, and also a 14-6 as talked about for Elby. Sweet to get the one to go, and Berkeley this time will have to try and get the job done from the top.
Yeah, and that's not an easy order to do, especially with the way that the track is right now. Cardwell's going to run him up the racetrack on this start to make sure he's got a good run down into number 1. So it's going to be a wild restart here.
There's that push-up. There's that run off the corner. There goes Brendan Rogers to second as a result. Bergeron looking to follow the conga line, though, in the battle now for that 3rd position. Still stuck in the middle line is Berkeley as a result. He's trying to find some moisture in the middle of that racetrack. As Bergeron trying to hug his way towards the inside. Contact. Berkeley gets hit. Caution flag is out as Berkeley bounces off several more cars in the heart of the field.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Joel Berkeley there, as he actually, I think, might have gotten a little help from a teammate there. Rumsey had a really good run down the front straightaway. Yeah, Rumsey just gets into the back of him there, turns him around, and Tommy Brandon, with nowhere to go, gets into him. So tough break there. That'll send Berkeley to the back of the field along with Tommy Brandon.
That burns an air lap. Drivers will now regroup. Drivers have been told double file up to the halfway point, and then towards single file, towards that mark in the final race meeting briefings. So keep that in mind. Rumsey has been charged with a caution flag. End of longest line for Rumsey. Double file once again for this upcoming restart.
Yeah, that's going to shake things up quite a bit, moving Rumsey to the tail. You know, we've seen Bergeron do this in a lot of other races before, where starts up front, kind of falls a little bit towards the mid pack, and then late in the race, when this track starts getting slicker and slicker, as you see not much grip left, once this thing gets really, really slick, that's when Bergeron seems to come on. So as the sun's getting ready to set there at Kokomo, we've still got just about halfway to go. But it's been an incredibly good race so far, and Tiernan's moved himself back up into the 8th spot from going towards the rear.
After being a -6 so far in this race, green flag's back out. Cardwell clips the grass to start things off. Rogers, though, goes immediately up to the cushion. Cardwell goes to his happy place. He slides up to the top of the racetrack while Bergeron hugs the very bottom of the racetrack. We've seen Bergeron in many different types of cars throughout this year really work that bottom line, especially of the past couple months. Can he make it work in the battle now with Rogers? Rogers and Bergeron side by side down the backstretch. Bergeron gets a nose ahead through 3. Rogers, though, with the advantage off turn 4 with the momentum. He holds on to second for now. James Tiernan, Logan Rumsey in a bit of trouble. They tango up. Caution flag is now out, as now we are back under yellow again. And they're still tapping.
Yeah, I'm sure James probably not the happiest camper there. But we'll see what happened there to him. Yeah, gets a little bit sideways, and it looks like Rico just gets in the side of him, does a little half spin to bring out the caution. So tough break there for James, as we saw the same thing happen to Isaac.
I believe that was Brett Perrigo, who was also in the same type of situation just about in turn 1 and 2. So if it didn't happen there in turns 3 and 4, it might have happened in 1 and 2 on top of things. We are not at the halfway mark yet, so there is a warning for James Tiernan for that incident. Warning to the 98.
Yeah, and that's just one of those, do your racing under green, don't do it under yellow. So just, you gotta always keep your cool in these races. It's hard sometimes, but it's part of it. You just gotta stay cool the whole time.
Green flag's back out. Cardwell off through the grass. Bergeron with an error good launch. This time Rogers with a bit more of a squeeze as Bergeron nearly over-rotates the car at the very bottom of the racetrack. Rogers tries to go for the massive slide now for the race lead. Side by side with Cardwell. Can't get the full rotation. One car stopped in the middle of the track. No caution yet. Berkeley made contact with Thomas Brandon as they're now near 3 wide for second. Bergeron clears his way on by Rogers. Rogers gets shuffled to the heart of the pack. Bergeron loses several positions as he squeezes in front of Skylar Brown. Connor Lane is now up to second. James Eden up 14 positions, is now up to third. What can Edens now do to try and reel back in Cardwell? As we're past halfway, any cautions from this point will trigger single file restarts. Keep that in mind if there's more trouble. And Rogers is now in trouble with the caution flag is out. Perrigo also involved in some trouble.
Oh boy, not what we wanted to see there. This race is starting to get spicy with Edens coming from the back of the field up towards the front. We'll have to go see if we can find the incident here with Brennan Rogers.
I think he just pulled off the racetrack in his case, but James Tiernan as well on top of things for the trigger. Hit the tires again. You see why here Rogers just decides pulls on and in.
Yeah, Rogers, I'm not sure if the car might have been broke from some contact or something, but yeah, he just pulled her on into the infield there. So tough break for one of the front runners there.
But the caution was for James Tiernan. And collisions with the number 2 car. James Tiernan, in fact, out. If we can take a look towards that, unfortunately, the driver's getting ready for the green flag part in for the single file restart. Coming through quickly. Hayden Cardwell, Connor Lane, James Edens, Alex Bergeron. Now I'm on your top 4 with Skylar Brown in 5th. Off and away. Lane quickly to the top. And James Edens quickly into the heart of the fight. From the back of the field to the front of it, he's working the middle line. Cardwell still the bottom. Lane trying to work the very top. Trying to go upcoming time by as Rumsey with a bit of contact with Soares. We stay green. Those drivers battling for the very back of the field. All while the heart of the pack still trying to shuffle their way about. Lane now to the point for the race lead. Cardwell and Edens with the slide. Edens up to the top. Cardwell shuffled to third. Contact with the wall for Edens. Lane tries to slide to the middle. Can't carry the momentum fully. Edens now goes to the defensive slide back. Bergeron now up to the top with Skylar Brown. Cardwell now shuffled to 4th after a great first half of the race for him. He's now starting to fall back in the heart of the pack. 18 laps to go as Lane. Tire to tire. Now with Edens. The top drivers running 13.6s in this respective race at the moment. Lane keeping up the momentum. Still tire to tire. 0.3 of a second the difference. He chooses middle. Edens elects to go more on the higher line. Bergeron all the way up to the cushion. He was the quickest out of the 3. Bergeron now works to the middle of the racetrack. 16 to go this time. Near contact to the tires. Bergeron now nearly hits the back Nerf bars. He slides it hard to the top of the racetrack. Near Nerf bar to Nerf bar for the top 3. Separated by just 0.3 of a second. Skylar Brown gets shuffled back by Mason Hannigan and Hayden Cardwell meanwhile. All while Bergeron back up to the cushion, this time trying to take away the outside for second. Instead goes for the crossback. Over to the bottom in 3. Through a ton of the moisture. Tries to clear contact with Connor Lane. Lane still keeps going for second. Bergeron now goes for the slide. Lane lets him go. With 14 to go, Lane wants the spot back now on the bottom side instead. Lane tries to defend back. Bergeron gives him back the spot. 0.6 now the difference between first and second with 13 laps to go, Billy.
Yeah, this thing's starting to get wild here. I think Bergeron is a little bit quicker, but just can't clear Connor. Every time he gets up next to him, he's got to bang wheels, and that's not how Alex likes to race. So he's not gonna do anything crazy to run anybody over here. But Skylar Brown kind of sitting in the catbird seat, making the top side really, really work as he's working himself up into the top 5.
11 laps to go. Alex Bergeron. He's won 3 of the past 4 races in the iRacing World About Lost Not Synergic Sprint Cars World Championship. He wants to win this one. He takes away second as he rips away the spot. Don't forget as well, Skylar Brown looking for the double duty award on top of things as he looks to try and get himself into a podium position. He can't get by with 9 laps to go quite yet on Connor Lane. Lane's starting to fade. The leaders now Nerf bar to Nerf bar. Separated by 2/10. Bergeron closed in 2/10 last time. Here he goes for the race lead. He slides. Edens nearly over-rotates it, cutting to the inside for the crossback. Edens lead to the stripe. Edens lead goes to the middle of the racetrack. Bergeron to the top wall. Bergeron rips the top side for the race lead. The Team ABR car to the point with 7 to go.
Yeah, and Kendall Tucker from our first yellow of the night. Kendall Tucker up to the 5th spot as Edens into the fence hard.
And now contact as they crash. Lane, Edens, several more colliding in, and the caution flag is out with 5 green flag laps to go this upcoming time by. Man, oh man, what a time for that mistake, and this could get entertaining.
Yeah, Edens just got a little bit too happy there up into the fence, and Connor Lane gets the absolute worst of it there as his night is essentially done. So that's a tough break for Connor Lane as he was one of the quickest cars all night long, runs in the top 5 and gets himself into a little bit of trouble there as James Edens gets into the fence.
And this moves Skylar Brown up to 2nd at the moment. As we're expecting the one to go signal, and again, there's a double duty award. If he can win this race, he'd be up towards that possible obligation. So the pressure is on for the Flying Banana.
Yeah, and the Flying Banana actually last year's winner of the night before the 500 over at IRP on the pavement. So this is definitely going to get crazy here to see how much he's going to go for this win.
Delayed yellow signaled as off and away go the cars, and as they realize now the iRacing pace car is in and back out for the regroup. They'll regroup once again as James Edens gets invented longest line penalty for the caution flag as they'll now have to regroup. There are now 15 cars still running on the racetrack.
Yeah, and they're just getting caught back up to the pace car here as the yellow's still out right now. Just getting caught back up to the pace car, getting a little bit of a reset here. So Edens to the tail. Tough break for him as he is passed a whole lot of race cars tonight. But it looks like we are getting ready to go or one more lap around before we get the 1 to green.
Field is now in order from race control. Green flag this upcoming time by. What's it going to take for Brown or even Kendall Tucker? Or maybe Mason Hannigan to come and win this? I
think really Kendall Tucker's in the best possible position coming from the tail after an early spin. You know, Skylar gets aggressive here with Alex. That could leave the door wide open for either Kendall Tucker or Mason Hannigan. And Hayden Cardwell, your early race leader, he's up into the 5th spot now, or back to 5th. So still got a shot here.
Here we go. Final 6 laps up on the board for the Epperson Painting Night Before the 500. Bergeron with a good launch once more. He's up on the top. Kendall Tucker already to 2nd. Brown trying to take that spot back with the squeeze. Near contact for that spot. Tucker now separated by 3 car lengths, under 5 laps to go. Hayden Cardwell now joins the fray. He's looking to move up another spot in this. Up towards the top line once again as Cardwell rips the cushion. Tucker with the slide. Cardwell with the slider. With 4 to go, he's up to 2nd. Is there enough time to get up to his championship rival for the iRacing World of Outlaws Not Drink Sprint Cars World Championship? With 3 laps to go, we're about to have to see with 9/10 the difference. Cardwell was shuffled as far back as the end of the top 10, just about in the middle of this race. Now he's closed up 2/10 with 2 laps to go. Bergeron trying to work middle top. Cardwell matching tire for tire. Cardwell closed up a 10th that corner. Track really working its way in as the cars shuffle their way around third on back for the white flag this time. It's between Cardwell and Bergeron for the race win. 4/10 now the gap. Cardwell needs one big lunge for a chance at it. Bergeron goes defensive. Cardwell rips it on the cushion. Cardwell rips it up top. Goes for the switchback at the stripe. Who got it? It was Bergeron by 15th 100ths of a second.
Hands down, the best midget race I've ever seen on iRacing, period. And that was absolutely incredible. What a race. That is 2 races in a row that we have seen. Oh boy. .004 last night, .016 tonight on the dirt. What a race we just had. What an absolute race we just had.
And Bergeron Cardwell played that near perfectly. He was gaining 2/10 a lap and gained 4/10 in the span of one corner. He ends up finishing second to Alex Bergeron, while Kendall Tucker rounds out the podium. Skylar Brown, Mason Hannigan, Tyler Duchard in the top 6. LB, Robles, LeMay, Soares, the top 10. Edens, Bishop, Perigo, Rumsey, and Brandon all finish this race on the lead lap. 7 laps down to Connor Lane, Joel Berkeley, Brendan Rogers, Tiernan, Kendall, and Hall. Kendall, your last driver to finish among your DNFs for tonight's action. What a finish to this one again, Billy, and what a run for Cardwell in those final couple laps.
Oh boy, if this race was 41 laps or 42 or 51 or 52 laps, we were going to see a battle to the end. But what a finish! We've had 2 races so far this week during Fake 500 Week presented by Wicked Energy Gum, and the difference between the winners and second place in 2 races is 2/100ths of a second. You couldn't ask for a better race. That was absolutely, hands down, some of the best racing that I think I've ever seen on the sim. Kokomo does it again. So what a race for these guys. Is we're waiting to get them into the Discord here so we can get interviews going. But what a race between Bergeron and Cardwell. I wrote Cardwell off, before that last yellow. He restarted in 5th and just turned it on with 1 to go. That just absolutely, what an incredible race. Incredible race.
Absolutely. And give credit to Kendall Tucker, a +10. Mason Hannigan, a +13. LeMay, a +10 as well from the LCQs. Some impressive runs for the back of the field, too. Oh, and Tyler Duchard, a +9.
Yeah, and especially since Kendall Tucker went from the back of the field after a spin onto the podium, and that to me is absolutely incredible. As we're just waiting here for Alex Bergeron to hop into the Discord. Hayden Cardwell and Kendall Tucker currently in the Discord, but just waiting for Mr. Bergeron, the man of the hour. But Skylar Brown's still running 4th. That's still really big for tomorrow. That's a $50 bonus, thanks to Fastlane Media, the Indiana double bonus. So whoever can get the best average finish in the Fake 500 as well as the night before the 500, that's $50 to go. And realistically, Skylar Brown is one of the ones that's he's sitting in the catbird seat for it. But it looks like Alex Bergeron is into the Discord. We're just waiting for him to take his virtual helmet off. And Alex Bergeron, what a race.
Absolutely, Billy. I can't believe I'm standing up here now.
Yeah, that was hands down, I think, truthfully, the best midget race I think I've ever seen on the iRacing sim. Track was perfect. It changed lines a few different times. A lot of different changes for the lead, but you fell back a little bit at the beginning of the race, kind of got caught out. How was it working your way forward?
Yeah, at the beginning we had a bit of issues there and got shuffled back pretty hard. I think we're back in seventh. I'm not sure, back May 8. Um, and just run the top and run the bottom, try to run everywhere, and found the bottom was working very good. And just we were very heavy on fuel. I thought we would be running up there at first, and we're at least 4 gallons above there at the end. So really glad we were able to make our way up there and a slider line in 1 and 2 and middle 3 4, I'd say, almost up there. Just was very fast and made the car work and passed Eden's there, and it was really a good race. And at the end I just played it easy, and Cardwell got almost to us, but decided to play it easy there, and it paid for us. So
Yeah, I was going to say that was crazy from how much Bergeron pushed on in those final couple laps there. But Alex, when it comes to an event such as this, what kind of goes into the work towards preparing for something, especially since, of course, this track you're going to for the World Championship on Monday, but of course, dirt midget different than a sprint car. What kind of preparation goes into something like this, and especially with what's at stake?
Not a lot, because we were not supposed to run this race, and last minute got to do it. So really, didn't really prepare for this race. Made a quick setup, and we did our best. But shout out to Brandon Schultz there on the booth and on the spotter stand, doing a good job during this race and carring the lines and doing a good job for the car itself. And probably wouldn't be up front there without him.
Now, where does your focus now lie, especially since the World of Outlaws goes to this track come Monday?
We gotta be doing a bit of practice there and there, and we have so many other races to do, and definitely our focus is World Championship Series and get the car ready. But we've had success here on around this track, and we did the SRLs Thursday night and had a bit of bad luck, but the car was really good, really fast. But these World Championship races are something else, man. We have to get all the luck possible and be in the right position at the right time, and we never know going to these races what's gonna happen. So we're just having our head super strong, and just trying to go in there and do our best. We don't necessarily need to win the race, but to survive. That's the key.
Anyone you want to thank for your victory tonight?
Well, once again, Brendan Schultz, also Team BRE Sports, Jason, Rebecca, everyone on the team, and all the partners, CSI Shocks, Biologica, BK Design, Expiring Farm Equipment, Team ABR Setup Shop, and Stuco, and everybody that supports us, all the fans that are tuning in tonight. And you guys are doing an awesome job broadcasting. Elbows up for putting this event with the Fake 500 tomorrow. Check it out. It's a pretty nice event. I'm not part of it, but definitely will be tuning in. So you guys should do it as well.
Hey, can we go on record and see, will we see an Alex Bergeron in the fake 500? We need to see Alex Bergeron of old running some pavement stuff. We'd love to see it in the fake 500 next year.
Yeah, we'll try to be there next year for sure.
That's Alex Bergeron, your race winner tonight for the Epperson Painting Night Before the 500 by just a couple 100ths of a second. Thank you very much for the time, Alex.
Thank you.
Alex Bergeron, once again, your winner tonight. But tonight, also seen a massive send from Hayden Cardwell in the final couple laps of this one. Hayden, just wow, first things first. Second, how did you close 9/10 in 4 laps?
I'm not for sure about that. We were just pushing the car as hard as we could there. Kind of mad at myself there because the fuel calculations were not right, and there was about 15 to go. We had to go save for at least 5 laps, and I think we fell all the way back to 6. So even to come back up to second is awesome and put on a great finish there for the fans.
Talk us through when it comes to working on a car such as this, because it can be tricky, of course, with this type of racetrack and this type of car. Talk us through preparing something for like this, especially since Billy really talked you up and mentioned your speed in these cars in the past.
Oh yeah, these cars are really enjoyable. I think everybody on the team really likes just making laps in these, and we really didn't make anything new. We kind of just adjusted on what we had before. And, it really helps that we get our in-car adjustments and we can mess with our rebound and stuff. So we were definitely using that the whole race to our advantage.
Absolutely today. When you were closing in, though, I have to ask in the closing stages, what was kind of the game plan to all that to try and find a way on that run? And by the time you got to the straightaway, what was kind of the thoughts going through your head as you guys had a drag race, essentially, to win it?
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of chasing him down there. I could see that we were better. But when I got to him, I was either going to decide if I was going to try to slide him or just try to rip around him. But when I got there, I knew I wasn't too close. So he was probably expecting a slider, which he kind of got a little bit under his line that he was running in 3 and 4, and he slowed down a little bit. And we just ripped the fins as hard as we could. And if we would have kept the car a little straighter, maybe it would have been closer finish, or who knows, we might have been on top. But I knew we had a heck of a run, but I couldn't go around him, so I tried to just get the cushion as hard as I could off 4 and go under him. But just too little, too late, I guess.
Now, where's the focus go now for you and your organization, especially with the Pro Series and its race coming up Monday?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely got to get more consistent. Made a big mistake at the heat race last week. Heat race points costed us a lot there. Luckily to rebound and finish 4th. We're not in the greatest position, but we could be a lot worse. 10 points back. We just got to put our head down and get more consistent and just test a little bit more here for Monday.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
Oh yeah, I just saw the guys on the Six Sun Sport for putting in all this hard work. Adam Elby for actually sponsoring me to race this. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been here. And Swindell Speed Lab, and just everybody helps out with our team, and you all for podcasting. Billy and Zane, I know they do a lot, and everything you do, Justin, you do a lot too. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Hayden Cardwell, second tonight in the Epperson Painting Night Before the 500. Third place finisher Kendall Tucker is standing by with Billy Rowley, who keep in mind, Kendall had to come from the middle of the pack to the back of the pack to the front of the pack tonight, Billy.
Yeah, Kendall with probably the drive of the night, truthfully. Got into a little bit of a scuffle there early on, and, be honest with you, I kind of wrote you off at that point, and then looked here with about 10 laps to go. You were up in the top 5.
Yeah, like you said, just I got into somebody's left rear early in the race, I think lap 3 or 4, and then lap 16 I ended up tagging the wall and looped it, and I had to go to the rear. And after that, man, like you said, I kind of wrote myself off too, honestly. But we just worked our way up through there. That top, man, it was wicked fast for sure. It was really tricky to run though, so I just had to be patient, picking my way up through there. I could make some passes work on the bottom, and then I had to get to the top, after a couple of green flag laps, because that's kind of where everything migrated to there towards the end. But other than getting to my teammates left rear and then getting into the fence and having to go to the rear, and I don't know, we passed a lot of cars, so we worked on that aspect of the game tonight.
Yeah, that's no kidding. It was a heck of a show for everybody watching. We had quite a few people watching tonight, and a lot of jaws dropped at that. I said it earlier that a lot of times, or we said it in some earlier broadcasts, that sim racing sometimes doesn't get the respect it deserves. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you didn't enjoy that as a race fan, something's not right with you. But you've had a good run so far this year in the Pro Series. Couple bad breaks, but what do you got? What do you got coming up, and how are you looking forward to Kokomo on Monday?
Yeah, just like you said, just have been having some bad luck here these last couple weeks. We had, honestly, after rebounding from week 1, we'd rebounded ourselves pretty nice, and these last 2 weeks, man, they've been a gut punch for sure. So I don't know, we'll just try and regroup here, and hopefully we can regain some momentum on our side here these last 3 weeks, and hopefully lock up third in the points, and maybe if something happens with the top 2, you never know. So we'll just try and have this thing up front, man, and for future plans, don't really know, just be hitting whatever money race or whatever's the big race of the week or night, whatever you want to call it. We'll be there no matter what type of car or track. So we'll have our eyes open for the races and stuff. Thanks to you guys for sticking your neck out and putting on this dirt race for the midgets. They don't honestly race the best, honestly, for caution reasons, but tonight was one of the best midget experiences I've had so far. So thanks to you guys for sticking your neck out and putting on the race.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. It's this is a busy event, but it's a fun event to do, and glad you guys could be a part of it the night before the 500 as a rich tradition in real life, and we're trying to recreate that here on the Sims. So big thanks to you guys and the rest of the team for coming on board and running. I know old LB heard single car qualifying and he was chomping at the bit for it. So we're glad to make it happen, and hopefully we'll see you around here soon when either next year or maybe at the Fake 500. Get you guys on some pavement.
I'll stick to the dirt stuff. We'll leave the asphalt for the guys that like to turn left. I like a little more excitement than that. So
well, I can respect that. I can respect that. But thanks again for coming for the night before the 500, and good job on a third place finish.
yeah, I appreciate it, man. I just got to thank my guys at Swindell Speed Lab and Slick Sim Sport, for all the help on the setups and stuff. I definitely can't keep up with all the different cars we run, so thanks to them guys for keeping me up to speed, and thanks, like I said, to you guys for the broadcast and the event. We'll see you next time.
Kendall Tucker, your third place finisher on the night. But wow, just absolutely unreal race. Zane, I'm not sure if you got your ears on or not. He might be decompressing after that one. That was a heck of a finish. Connor Lane is in chat right now, and man, that was a tough break for you, bud. You were running extremely good up in the top 5 and led a couple laps even. So good job for you, Connor, and hopefully we'll see you back next time for the next edition of the night before the 500. But yeah that's. Glad that Justin Prince is involved in this deal. Had a lot of fun working together over these last couple of weeks. We got one more race to go for the end of the week, but thoughts so far from you? We haven't really heard your input on this other than calling these races.
It's been crazy so far, to say the very least, but some of the most exciting finishes of the year, if not the past couple years so far in the iRacing service. To borrow a stat from Zane Scott, the past 2 races on each of the nights have been having a differential between first and second combined of 0.020 seconds. That says a lot for the excitement level and the intensity for these types of races, Billy, and what goes in to try and make sure you are the quickest of the quick. Tonight, we've seen the quickest of the quick up towards the front and battle hard at the front of the field, Billy. It was an exciting race tonight and a stellar finish between Bergeron and Cardwell, and one of the closest finishes I've seen on the dirt in a while, and what could have gone either direction. Now the question is, will tomorrow be that close with how intense things were today, Billy? Especially since it's going to be 500 miles on the docket for the Wicked Energy Gum Fake 500, and what's expected to be an intense one, to say the very least.
Yeah, I think just like the real month of May, we're doing this in January, but it's absolutely, you feel, we had a couple people earlier say, well, it doesn't really feel like the build up is there, but man, the build up is really ramping up. We've had great viewership for these events, and huge thank you to everybody out there that's watching this. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to be going live. We've got a pretty good pre-race show. If you're used to the Indianapolis 500, you're going to see the same sights that you do. We're going to expect you all to sing. There's that's always an important tradition at Indianapolis. Green flag tomorrow at 6 p.m., but you're going to want to be here. I got to iron out a couple things with the pre-race show, with a couple of the scheduling things, but somewhere between that 5:30 and 5:45 mark, we're going to be setting the field for the Wicked Energy Gum Fake 500. Again, huge thanks to them for coming on and being the headline sponsor for this deal. And again, Crescent Donut with the Patriot 100 last night, we saw a great finish there. Tonight, another fantastic night of racing from Epperson Painting. So huge thanks to them. Big supporters of racing. Just saw actually Brent Beauchamp going to be running the Epperson 2E down in Florida coming up. So go check them out, if you're in the Indianapolis area. But huge thank you to them for being a part of this event. But we're going to see a great race tomorrow. We're going to have an absolutely great race tomorrow. I feel the field of 33 is set. They're excited. They're ready to go. Just can't wait to get it all started, and really looking forward to you guys being in attendance. We're going to be doing another share giveaway tomorrow. So when you see the stream go up, if you haven't followed us already on Elbows Up TV on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitch, wherever you're at, share the stream out with the hashtag Fake500 tomorrow when we go live, and we're going to be doing some small giveaways and things like that as well. We want to get as many people involved in this as we can. We want to keep doing these events. We've had a really good time with the DRT, the Dirt Racing Tour, the 410 Sprint Car Series, and these races are just kind of the culmination of all that work. So, yeah, so and make sure when you are sharing those tomorrow, make sure you share it as public, not private, because if we can't see it, we can't can't count it into the drawing. So be sure to do that. We'll touch on that more tomorrow as well. But just a huge thank you to everybody. Make sure you come watch the Patriot 100 or the Fake 500 tomorrow. Going to be a fantastic race and a good day.
Yes, indeed it is. Once again, coverage expect to start between 5:30 and 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Green flag scheduled for 6 p.m. Eastern Time for the Wicked Energy Gum Fake 500. But it's time to say goodbye for my co-announcer tonight, Billy Rowley. I'm Justin Prince saying so long as we finish in our chapter to what has been a storybook ending for tonight's Epperson Painting Night Before the 500.
Would you believe me if I told you an old story? One where the beginning is more than 100 years old. One that's featured every big name to exist in auto racing. Would you believe me if I said nothing grows old here? Where thousands and thousands come to be awed and inspired by speed. One where dreams are born, then just as quickly destroyed. Would you believe me if I said it was more than just a race? One that requires so much sacrifice for just a chance at glory. One where their faces are etched into history to never be forgotten. Would you believe me if I said this version of the story was different? A version where the cars are virtual, but the racing and competition are real. A story that brings grown men and women to tears, then just a page later to a smile from ear to ear. A story so fast it's tough to keep up with. One with danger and thrill around each and every corner. A story about heartbreak. And a story about perseverance. It's a story about redemption. And a story about triumph.
Well, this is the closest thing, boys, to living a dream. Gentlemen, start your engines.
This is the story of the Wicked Energy Gum Fake 500.